Yes.
Can't about Honorable Speaker, Bagabona.
Aka se itumwa disra. O tele batho ba motho.
Don't tell what to about Honorable Speaker,
Morning, Honorable Deputy Speaker.
You must stop being out of order, man. Not one. Not have anything to say, you keep quiet. Yeah, but you must come with your team.
Honorable Speaker.
Joshua Zone gave him some.
Obagaro chief citizen.
Wanagale, Managale, Tama, they're going to go chief citizen pirates usually.
Yeah, and I get to work at Chiefs, Ruaka so come in the legislature preparing to see it. Little game to the board.
You want a son.
Hello.
You think we correct it?
Chief, we better correct now.
Told by you what to say when.
Yeah.
We're discussing issues of
Private Secretary George. How do you
I want to provincial secretaries.
You are a ceremonial. You are a ceremonial. You don't have also be too
Ewana, ambitious position.
I now have a moment for prayer and meditation. Thank you very much. I'm reminded that we're still operating under COVID regulations, and let's continue to abide by the regulations, wash our hands, wear our masks, and sanitize where possible. And always. Are there any motions without notice in terms of Rule 145? Honorable Matlo.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker, the Honorable Premier of our province, Honorable MECs present here, the Honorable Chief Whip and the Whippery, Honorable Leader of the Opposition. I rise on behalf of the African National Congress to congratulate and thank the Department of Health on yet another successful rural health campaign. The week-long campaign, which was rolled out in Mopani district, was aimed at addressing the surgical backlog in the public health care sector. The campaign targeted the downtrodden and the poverty-stricken patient who could not afford private health care or the exorbitant procedure offered in the private facility. The MEC of Health in our province led a team of medical specialists who, on their own volition, volunteered their skills and knowledge to make a meaningful contribution to the lives of our people in Limpopo. We thank them for their indelible contribution in affecting permanent medical and clinical intervention on their valuable patients. The Mopani District Rural Health Matters campaign was preceded by the Skukuni District leg of the same campaign, which yielded positive results. We also thank all the medical and dental specialist volunteers and all the healthcare workers who were supporting our specialists as they volunteered their services during the week-long Rural Health Matter campaign. We are grateful that in the process they also imparted knowledge and skill to other health workers in our province. The medical specialists include the ophthalmologist, orthopedics and urologist, plastic and constructive surgeons, obstetrics and also gynecologists, maxillofacial surgeons, reproductive medical specialists, or gynecology specialists, plastic and also reconstructive surgeons, pediatric surgeons, ENT surgeons, radiologists, and also anesthetists. This week was dedicated to cleaning the surgical backlog and consulting all those who have been waiting to be seen in tertiary hospitals, most Petersburg Hospital. We are confident that the department will continue to roll out this kind of campaign in other districts and ensure that no one suffers as a result of lack of funds. We should continue to decommodify the health service as we prepare to the rollout of the National Health Insurance Scheme. Once again, we thank the over 23 medical specialists who made the Mopani district
Honorable Matlo, you've frozen. And we move to Honorable Smalley. We'll come back to Honorable Matlo.
Thank
Okay,
you.
can we reduce the camera?
Thank you, Honorable Deputy Speaker. I hope I'm audible. I hereby move on behalf of the Democratic Alliance that this House notes and congratulate the fantastic showing by the Western Cape government at the annual National Batupele Excellence Award, where it was honored with numerous prizes for the top performances in public services. The National Batupele Excellence Award seeks to entrench professionalism of the public services, recognizes and acknowledges public servants who perform beyond their call of duty to encourage excellence in the public service. The Western Cape government won gold for the functioning provincial department for the Western Cape Department of Health and for the Western Cape Department of Transport and Public Works. It also won silver for the best functioning provincial department for the Office of the Premier and the Western Cape Department of Local Government. 3 heads of the department in the Western Cape, namely Health, Transport and Public Works and Local Government, also won awards in the best heads of department categories. These achievements are a truly commendable feat. We further note that since Limpopo MECs have recently signed service delivery agreements, we expect that we will see our own province government departments receive acknowledgements at the National Batupele Excellence Awards in the near future. Thank you, Honorable Deputy Speaker.
Any second objection?
Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
You object after the motion has been seconded. Any seconder?
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I, Honorable Maraj, hereby second the motion by Honorable Jacques Smaller and hereby propose that the motion be carried forward. Thank you.
Any objection? Objection? The motion is objected.
By whom, Deputy Speaker? Otherwise, we'll call a division.
Honorable Mate FM. Honorable Mate objects. Honorable Smalley.
Okay. Now, I just needed to understand if it's the ANC objecting against the national awards given by the National Department.
No, it's objecting against the motion.
Thank you.
Is it objected, Honorable Deputy Speaker?
Yes, the motion falls off.
Okay.
Honorable Magani.
unmute.
Honorable Magani, unmute.
Inkomo, Honorable Speaker, eka murhangeri wa vandla ra Economic Freedom Fighters, Tatana Josie Butchani, eka Premier ya Limpopo, Tatana Machabate, xikan'we na n'wina vatirhikulori, Dzamilosa. I rise on behalf of the EFF to move without notice that the House notes. Honorable Speaker, The EFF is appalled by the rising incidence of gender-based violence in Limpopo. We must ask ourselves honest and difficult questions in relation to how we raise the boy child in society, how they perceive a girl child or woman says much about the culture and environment in which they were raised or are being raised. It is the responsibility of the fathers to teach their boy children that girls are human beings and that they have the same rights as them. Women must be treated with respect and that they must not be seen as tools or property of men. The EFF blames men for abdicating on their responsibilities, especially with regard to how a boy child is being raised in South Africa. Boys must be taught to protect girls and they will protect them, even when they are grown up. We call upon the government to do more in terms of raising awareness in communities about gender-based violence. A nation that does not respect and protect its women is doomed. I so move. Ndakhetha.
Any seconder?
Hello? Hello?
Yes,
Hello?
Honorable Butana?
Myself, Honorable Josie Mudikane Tsaka Butane, move for the seconder of the motion to be carried forward.
Thank you very much. Honorable Slamlela?
Honorable Premier, members of the Executive Council, Honorable Speaker, I rise on behalf of the African National Congress on a motion without notice that this House knows that as we are sitting in this virtual sitting, Parliament's ad hoc committee to initiate and introduce legislation amending Section 25 of the Constitution of the Republic, which will allow for the expropriation of land without compensation, is currently preparing to rearrange the cancelled public hearing in Polokwane, Limpopo. Honorable Speaker, we note with great regret that an important fourth parliamentary hearing scheduled by the Parliament of the Republic of South Africa has turned into a political showdown with EFF members being instigators. The EFF disrupted an important process that they claim to champion, and we are saying that the event of that Sunday, the 20th, had laid bare their tendency and rampant lawlessness in their poultry. We commend the high-level Honorable Speaker and maximum discipline displayed by the ANC comrades and condemn in the strongest possible terms the EFF shameful conduct. The EFF has a responsibility to uphold, and we call upon them to uphold the rule of law in a constitutional democracy, and we call on them to refrain from making mockery of public participation platforms aimed at redressing historic injustices by behaving in an unlawful manner. Honorable Speaker, I so move.
Any seconder? Any seconder?
No one is seconding.
Honorable Speaker,
Yes, Honorable Mato.
I, Joseph Joshua Madoye, by second the move as proposed by Honorable Slamule.
Thank you.
Chair,
Yes, Honorable Butana?
I'm objecting.
Wow.
I'm objecting. I'm objecting. Lola Walna was Tunya was why are you talking about that one who brought the gun there?
Honorable Butana?
Yeah.
You have objected. Can you leave us to run the House? Honorable Slamlela?
Honorable Speaker,
Yes.
Did you call my name?
No, I see you are trying to get my attention.
No. I'm sorry.
The motion is objected to and the motion falls off.
Thank
Who
you very
told
much.
I've raised my hand. Chairperson, I've raised my hand.
Who's that?
Chairperson, I have raised my hand.
Yes, you can speak.
Okay, I'm not sure because I see a lot of people raising hands. I don't understand.
Yeah,
Who should
people
speak,
must
Chairperson?
raise their hand if they want to speak. Who's raising his hand now?
Marco, my
I've
one.
raised my hand.
Yeah, speak. Honorable Cielo, speak.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm calling for division on the motion, Chair.
A division has been called. We will then vote on the manner we vote is all if it's per party. Because it's going to
Honorable Bushela na bothata ba ke. Ba sa no gomola a tola.
DA
divided.
I object to the motion just on principle of the ANC objecting to a national motion earlier. Thank you.
how many are you from DA? Yeah, two.
Honorable Bushela on donated, you have told me.
The DA are also objecting. And ANC, how many members are you? Can somebody help to count the ANC members available?
Yeah, but we can't see them. It will not be fair, Chair. So let's not do those things of voting with visual. We can't see them. So how do we know if they are
Let's raise our hand.
The chief whip knows how many members these members
No,
are.
we're not going to see them. Some of our gadgets can't show. No, but
We have raised our
Raise
hands.
our hand.
We have raised our hands.
our
hands are
Chair,
up.
No, can we
But we can't see those hands.
And TFF, how many members?
No, Chair, I have a point to raise. Chair.
Deputy Speaker, raised our hands. Honorable,
TFF,
just keep quiet.
please lower your hands, ANC. I've seen them.
Chair.
Hands are
I have a
How many are they?
From the EFF, how many are you?
But honorable Speaker, honorable Deputy Speaker,
Yes.
So
I do not think that the system you're using is proper, because how do in the House vote on the basis of political party?
we are raising our hands.
Done it before, Honorable
Honorable
Speaker.
Speaker, I'm calling a point of order.
Deputy Speaker.
Done it before. You never objected.
It is not for the first time we are doing this thing.
I shut up.
Deputy Speaker,
Deputy Speaker.
Deputy Speaker,
Deputy Speaker.
Can we have, I'm still addressing.
Honorable, point of order.
Well, still addressing Honorable Sishoka.
Oh, okay.
Yes. Honorable Sishoka, what is your point of order?
I'm saying the process we are following is unparliamentary because we can't sit in this house. And then in terms of voting, we're told that we must vote per political party. I think we're here as members of legislature, not as political party. So I find that as being out of order, because surely we have sat in this meeting without looking at the system that we must use in terms of dividing the house. So I propose that this must be deferred to another sitting up until the system has been developed in terms of how we should deal with this matter of dividing the house. It can't be that we're sitting here and we vote on political lines.
Honorable Sishoka, we've done this before during our visual sitting. And we voted, we proposed.
Not run away from the training, you didn't be doing that.
And I don't understand why today you are coming up and saying it's unparliamentary.
No, I'm saying it's wrong. Even if you have done it before, I'm saying it's wrong. You can't divide the house on the basis of political lines.
It's not wrong.
And we are
because
trying to correct things.
Proportionally in the legislature. Per party.
But it can't be on political lines. When you divide the house, you must call for members that are agreeing, and then that's it.
But you must, it can't be on political line, Honorable Deputy Speaker.
Okay.
It's
Honorable
wrong. We need to defer this thing and come back when we have developed a system in terms of how we're going to vote. Because surely we have set in this visual without even deciding on how we're going to divide the house in case there is this kind of deadline.
We're not going to defer because that's how we've done it before and we'll continue doing it.
Honorable Speaker, you're saying you have to continue doing the wrong things.
No, Honorable
Speaker, point of order.
Point of order.
Yeah, I raised my point of order a long time before.
Honorable Makrupich, I will come in.
All right. No, they said you'll come in. Listen. Thank you very much, leadership. The Deputy Speaker, our comrades. I'm objecting to the system we're using because one, it's not reliable. Two, that we have used it before does not make it right. If something is done wrong first time, that it can even be repeated does not make it right. So I'm proposing, Chair, Deputy Speaker, that there is no problem. It's only but a motion. We are under some condition now. This condition will pass. After it passes, we'll go to a normal sitting. Let's come and attend to the matter properly then.
Are you proposing that we leave out all motions and deal with them at the sitting?
The ones that get objected and might call for
but we can't do it that way. If it's motions, if you want us to deal with motions in the next sitting, let's do that. Honorable Makrupich.
Deputy Speaker, I disagree that we move these motions to the next sitting. There is a process that we can use. But
Honorable Butane, please. People will listen to you.
I was listening to you. Can he please listen as well?
Yeah, he's listening.
Honorable Speaker, what I'm suggesting is the system we use to raise hands is easy. The Speaker must divide the House. Those that support the motion can raise their hands now. After that, those that do not object the motion can raise their hands so that we're able to move forward. We all use the system of raising hands. They're here. It's clear, all of us, we can see who's raising a hand. I move that this motion be adopted or rejected today so that we are able to follow all the order of the proceedings for today, Honorable Speaker. Thank you.
Honorable Chair, I agree with the sentiments by Honorable Makrupich that as we have proceeded with the first motion by adopting or objecting, we should continue in the same path, because if there was an issue of postponing all motions, it should have started at the initial stage when we started on the motions. But we can't say halfway we start depicting that other motions must be referred. Let's continue and use the same system through the raise of hands on our gadgets so that we are able to divide the House in a democratic manner. Thanks very much.
Can you again start afresh? Members who are supporting the motion, can they raise their hands? No, those who are supporting the motion as raised by Honorable Butane.
Oh.
Honorable Speaker.
Yeah.
Honorable Speaker.
I'm still counting the numbers here.
Honorable Deputy Speaker.
Yes.
I still believe the system we're using is not going to be helpful, because on my system here, I can see that the people that have raised their hands since we began this meeting, their hands are still up even now. So this system is not reliable.
Now, I don't know which system are you talking about. Was where I see where the hands are raised. There are only 2, 4, 6 hands.
But I'm seeing Honorable Mato, I'm seeing Honorable SS, I'm seeing a lot of comrades that have raised members that have raised their hands. Their hands have been up like that for a longer time.
Honorable Mato is not raising his hand.
This system we're using is not reliable. Honorable
Very reliable. We're going to continue this way, Honorable Stoker. We've debated this thing. We've agreed what we should do. Now, this is what we're doing. The hands that I see that are supporting the motion is 1, Honorable Mpahlele, Honorable Manganye, Honorable Mhlala, Honorable Rapila, Honorable Stoker. Those are the hands.
And I'm also seeing hands that are up here, Honorable Speaker, on my system.
I don't know what your system is doing, boss. In
Well,
mine,
Well, no, you're not presiding, Chief. You can't tell.
Honorable Stoker, because in my system, I'm seeing only those hands that I've counted. Can you have those that are objecting to the motion, raising their hands?
This system is not reliable, Honorable Deputy Speaker.
It's not reliable on yours. On ours, it's reliable because I can count the names.
But then how do I then be satisfied if I can't see what you're saying?
Honorable Speaker,
I don't know why you're not seeing what. Can you proceed and let's not disrupt you, Honorable Stoker. We have agreed that we are proceeding with the system. And
Well,
also,
that was the wrong system.
those who are objecting, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22.
Honorable Speaker, we don't know. Are you saying those that are objecting or those that are supporting?
I said those that are objecting to the motion.
Yeah,
Can
objection.
you clarify, Honorable Speaker? Because objection.
No, there's a motion that
go back.
Honorable members, stop creating unnecessary confusion. There's a motion that has been moved by Honorable Butani, which has been seconded.
Yes.
And then there was an objection.
Yes.
And Honorable Butani asked for somebody asked for the division of the House. Now,
Yes.
those who are supporting the motion are the numbers that I've read, 6. Now we want those who are supporting the objection, those who are objecting to the motion.
Yes.
Sorry, so you want those that are objecting to the motion of Honorable Slamlel?
You.
No,
Of
no, let's finish. Comrade, let's not play. Honorable Speaker, there's still a lot
We're
of
not
people who are
playing
just
here.
playing. Let's finish with the one, Honorable Bhutan, and finish.
I think the Honorable, the motion was objected to.
Because you can't say we're playing. Does he see at all here?
Point of procedure, Honorable Speaker.
The motion has been objected to. Can we proceed?
Okay. Honorable Speaker.
Honorable Speaker.
Honorable Speaker.
Honorable Deputy Speaker.
Honorable Speaker.
Yes.
I presented a motion.
I think let's put the matter clear. Honorable Slamlela put a motion.
Yeah.
Honorable Butani objected the motion. Honorable Slamlela put the motion to the vote. We're now voting of what Honorable Slamlela is put as a motion about the land matter. We are supporting that motion ourselves. And we are objecting to what Honorable Butani have said.
Yeah.
And the motion is carried.
Honorable Speaker,
Carried.
I want to check whether my motion went through because I had a glitch with the system.
No, we said we'll come back to you because you had a glitch.
The motion is rejected.
Lantiga.
Can you go back to Honorable Mato?
Thanks very much, Honorable Chair. I thought I won't use the video because it's sometimes glitchy in terms of the system. I rise on behalf of the African National Congress to congratulate and thank the Department of Health on yet another successful rural health matter campaign. The long campaign which was rolled out in Mopani district was aimed at addressing the surgical backlogs in the public health sector. The campaign targeted the downtrodden and the poverty-stricken patient who would not afford private health care or the exorbitant procedures offered in the private facilities. The Ministry of Health in our province led a team of medical specialists who, out of their own volition, volunteered their skill and knowledge to make a meaningful contribution to the lives of our people in Limpopo. We thank them for indelible contribution in affecting permanent medical and clinical intervention in the vulnerable patients. The Mopani District Rural Health Matters campaign was preceded by the Sekhukhune District leg of the same campaign, which yielded a positive result. We also thank all the medical and dental specialists, volunteers of all healthcare workers who were supporting our specialists as they volunteered their services during the week-long Rural Matter campaign. We are grateful that in the process, they also imparted knowledge and skill to other healthcare workers. The medical specialists include ophthalmologists, orthopedics, urologists, plastic and constructive surgeons, obstetricians, and also gynecologists, maxillofacial surgeons, reproductive medicine specialists, oncology specialists, and also plastic and reproductive surgeons, pediatric surgeons, ENT surgeons, and radiologists and anesthetists. This week was dedicated to clear the surgical backlogs and consulting all those who have been waiting to be seen in tertiary hospitals, mostly in Mankweng and Petersburg hospitals. We are confident, Honorable Speaker, that the department will continue to roll out this kind of campaign in other districts and ensure that we should codify for the rollout of National Healthcare Insurance Scheme. Once again, we thank the over 23 medical specialists who made it in Mopani District Rural Health Matters campaign a great success on their volunteerism. I so move.
Any second to the motion? Who's seconding?
Lela. Lela.
Honorable Slamla.
Honorable Deputy Speaker, I stand to second the motion presented by Honorable Macron.
Thank you very much.
Sorry, Chair.
Yes. Yes, Honorable.
Chair.
Honorable Bhutan, I'm listening.
No. Honorable Matuma Mutai, please dial only PPE Kalungwan.
Out of order, Honorable Bhutan. Are there any questions without notice?
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I have put in.
Yes.
Deputy Speaker, before Maharaj. Honorable Speaker.
On what point are you raising, Honorable Chief Whip?
Honorable Speaker, can you request that we all lower our arms so that our hands so that we are able to see where we are in terms of the voting, because there are a lot of hands that are up and we don't know where they are up. Some of us have been raising hands to present motions without notice, but we couldn't be recognized because there are a lot of hands that are up. Can you just request those who don't have motions to put their hands down? Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Chief Whip. Can we do exactly what the Chief Whip has suggested and lower our hands? Only those who want to raise motions of without notice. Honorable Maharaj, you can proceed.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I rise on behalf of the Democratic Alliance that this House notes and congratulates John Steenhuisen as the new federal leader of the Democratic Alliance and the official opposition party in the National Assembly, as well as all other leaders elected at the DA Federal Congress concluded over the weekend. Further notes and congratulates the DA Limpopo provincial leader and member of the Limpopo legislature, Honorable Jacques Smaller, on his election as one of the deputy federal chairpersons. It is positive to have a leader from one of the smaller rural provinces being acknowledged for his leadership qualities and being voted into a senior position in the party's federal structure. Furthermore, Honorable Jacques Smaller's election to this senior position also speaks volumes about the quality of leaders we develop here in the province and is a good reflection on us all in this House and Limpopo as a whole. Congratulations to John Steenhuisen, Jacques Smaller, and all other newly elected leaders. Well done and all the best in the execution of your duties as we serve the needs of our people in the country and the province. I so move.
Any seconder?
Yes, Chairman. Honourable Deputy Chairperson, I stand to move for the secondment of the motion as read by Honourable Maraj. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Honourable Chief Whip.
Honourable Speaker, the motion that you wanted to present has already been presented by the DA. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Are there any further motions without notice? If none, we'll go to notices of motions. If none, we'll go to, are there any statements by members in terms of Rule 200? Who's that? I see a hand here.
Honorable Matsala.
Oh, Honorable Matsala, yes. You have the floor.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. Greetings to the House Leader of the Official Opposition, the Premier. Honorable Deputy Speaker, we have received many confirmed reports that Polokwane Municipality allocates funds to undeserving recipients who did not apply for those houses. RDP houses are given to people who have not applied for them, and those that have applied for those houses are being robbed of their houses. We are reliably informed that there are ANC ward councillors who sell houses to poor, desperate people in our communities. They steal houses from those who legally applied for them and give them to their people for a fee or staggering price. We have been raising this matter in this House for some time now, and yet the stealing of RDP houses continues. Nothing is happening to stop it. It is clear that the government is not prepared to deal with this problem as more and more people continue to be robbed of what is rightfully theirs. We once more call upon the MEC for COGTA to investigate this matter and provide lasting solution to our people. I thank you.
Thank you very much. Are there any further statements by members? Honorable Shoka.
Thank you, Honorable Deputy Speaker, and greetings to the Leader of the Official Opposition, Honorable Joseph Buchan, the MEC present, and all members in the House. Honorable Speaker, the Department of Health in Limpopo continues to fail emergency medical personnel in the province as they apply to Western every day. The EMS personnel in the province work under a very strenuous condition, and the department does not have the will to attend to their challenges. They are forced to work with limited resources and also work under very traumatic situations as they all deal with the dead apart from transporting the sick to the hospital. There are no counseling sessions arranged by the department to assist traumatized and depressed EMS personnel due to the nature of their work. Shortage of ambulance is also adding more pressure and stress to these members who are already demoralized and lost hope. There are new ambulances that are rusting in some government hospitals, and we are told that they are meant for a specific purpose and therefore cannot be used to collect the sick from their homes. They are forced to use ambulances with worn tires, out of tires, which pose a serious danger to their lives. The EMS workers in Limpopo are treated differently from other workers in the department. They are not being treated with respect. They are being treated like slaves. No matter how many times they raise their issues with the department, it all falls on the deaf ears. We call upon the MEC of Health to investigate this matter and provide last lasting solution to our people. I thank you, Honorable Deputy Speaker.
Thank you. Are there any further statements by members? If not, can I check with members of EXCO who wants to respond to the two statements? Honorable Rakole. MEC Rakole.
Honorable Speaker, it was an error. I think I thought you were coming for the next item of the agenda. Thank you.
No. Honorable Ramatuba. I thought I saw your hand.
Thank you. Thank you, Honorable Deputy Speaker, honorable members of the Executive Committee, Council, and honorable members. I think we need to really clarify the issue of emergency medical services. That indeed we have procured, as the Premier pronounced every year during the State of the Province address, that we will procure around 50 ambulances to try to address the backlog. But we have, in line with our strategies towards saving mothers and their unborn children, make sure that we come with the initiative that there are ambulances that we will dedicate strictly, and we'll call them obstetric ambulances. These are meant to respond to emergencies of pregnant women. And those ambulances are strictly for that purpose. Now, some of the EMS personnel would want those ambulances to still be utilized for any other. And you will find a situation wherein our pregnant women find themselves having to compete with those who have been, who have suffered from what we call stab wounds under influence of alcohol. So it cannot be. And if we are serious about making sure that we reduce the avoidable maternal death, we have to have these ambulances that are dedicated for that. It's not us, it's the WHO. And as a province, we've been one of those provinces that has made this initiative, and we believe it will go a long way towards the reduction of maternal death. So it's unfortunate that some of the EMS personnel would even run to political parties to complain about something that is meant for the good of the people of Limpopo. Every year we are buying ambulance, and people must take care of the ambulance. When the new ambulance come, there will be those dedicated for pregnant women and their babies, and there will be those that are dedicated for the general public. And we can never compete the healthcare of a pregnant woman and the healthcare of any other person. On the issues of counseling, I think we must also clarify here, we are the first province to even launch what we call a psychosocial hub dedicated to all our employees. And for EMS, we even have got a specialized team of clinical psychologists. Every Monday, they have got a free line where they can go and be able to be debriefed, because we know over the weekend when they respond to emergency services, they see horrific things. When they are on the road accident, we know those things, we understand better. We have been working, Honorable Sishoka, with them on the road, and we know the trauma, the post-traumatic stress disorder that you undergo after you have responded to a major accident. So we can never take it for granted. So they do have that counseling. And let me also remind this thing that we are ignoring. We're the only province in this country that celebrated the National EMS Day, even erect a stone there within the Department of Health, where we are in memory of all our EMS personnel that we lost on duty. Go and check if there's any other province in this country that have gone towards that extent, towards supporting their own EMS personnel. So I would want to say those information that you have, Honorable Sishoka, it's not correct. we do care about our employees and their safety and their psychosocial mental health care matters a lot to us, because if they are not mentally stable, they will not be able to respond to emergencies. Thank you very much, Deputy Speaker.
Anybody wants to respond on behalf of Coxter? Honorable Ramatuba?
Thank you, Honorable Deputy Speaker. We are going to look into this matter with the Polokwane municipality, these allegations, and we will be able to come back and respond to the House. Because these are serious allegations, but we can't just take them and say they are facts. We really need to go and first investigate.
Thank you very much, Honorable Ramatuba, for that. Are there any executive statements in terms of Rule 201? Honorable Rakwale?
Thank you so much, Honorable Speaker. Greetings to you, Deputy Speaker, Honorable Premier, the Chief Whip of the Majority Party, members of the Executive, present members of the Honorable members of the House, good morning. We rise to yet again express our deep concern about the rampant and ever-increasing cases of gender-based violence in the Limpopo province. In the latest incident, Honorable Speaker, which has prompted us to once again speak out, a 28-year-old man was stabbed to death, allegedly by his girlfriend, at Kujwana village in the Greater Zanin local municipality. The two allegedly had an argument before the heinous and violent act occurred. This incident once again reminds us that gender-based violence is not an act perpetrated against women only. Rather, gender-based violence is a clear indication of the rapid decay in the moral fabric of society. It has become too easy to settle arguments, dispute, and unhappiness with violence and even murder. It has become too easy to rid society of mothers and fathers in the name of money or simply in an act of extreme anger. We have seen this again and again in so-called high-profile cases, as well as those that don't always make headlines. One common denominator in all of this bloodshed is that a human life has become fragile and worthless in our beautiful country. As the protectors of our hard-fought for democracy, we cannot tolerate this situation any longer in what has also been known as a province of peace. We call on all relevant civil society organizations, law enforcement agencies, justice, religious formations, and especially the moral regeneration movement through the MEC of Sport, Arts and Culture, Honorable Thandi Moraga, to join hands and find ways and means in which to restore morality and Ubuntu and to remedy the current situation where a life is worth less than a 2,000 cell phone. We need to spread an argument and continued message to our people that there's always a place to find help for mental disturbances, family turmoil, relationship issues, addictions, and material needs. There is no need to resort to crime and violence. Parents need to spend more time with their children and those of their neighbors, as it takes a village to raise a child. They need to learn from a very early age that there is a clear distinction between wrong and right. They need to learn that crime and violence, however small an offense may seem, leads to more serious offenses and is wrong and punishable by law. I thank you.
Thank you very much. I'll now invite political parties to make comments on the statements. Or are there any further executive statements? Can I invite the Democratic
Yes, Deputy Speaker.
Yeah, we'll come back. We'll come back to you. Democratic Alliance?
Thank you very much, Speaker. Speaker, the Democratic Alliance sympathizes with the bereaved family, and we do concur that the scourge of gender-based violence in the country is reaching unimaginable numbers. We call on more police visibility, and we call on stricter sentences for perpetrators of gender-based violence. However, we are concerned that with the reduction on budget of about 2.5 billion towards policing, that this is going to be a challenge with regards to the fight against gender-based violence and crime as a whole. And we call on there to be more work done on the safety and security aspect for the country and the provinces. And we call upon more communications, more discussions jointly with various political parties on how we can assist in the fight against crime and gender-based violence. Thank you, Honourable Speaker.
Thank you. Economic Freedom Fighters. Can I pass if there's no comment? ANC.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. We sympathize with the victims as articulated by the MEC, and we want to request the law enforcement agencies to make sure that they deal harshly with perpetrators of gender-based violence. Thank you, Honourable Deputy Speaker.
Thank you. Honourable Ramatuba, any further executive statements?
Thank you, Honourable Deputy Speaker, Honourable Premier, Honourable members. Honourable Deputy Speaker, from the 2nd to the 6th of November, it's SADC Malaria Week. This is the week wherein, as a region, we sit down and reflect on how far are we in our quest towards a zero malaria death within our region. We use this particular week to also review our strategies and also to continue educating our people on how they can protect themselves from getting infected. We further educate them on early detection and, most importantly, on the treatment. We emphasize the importance of early diagnosis, which leads to a successful treatment. Honourable Deputy Speaker, more than 88 million people living within the SADC region are living in what's deemed to be malaria transmission areas. It is in these areas, in this malaria endemic area, wherein annually around 14 million children only and 4 million pregnant women, these are vulnerable people, face a high risk of contracting the disease. It is further estimated that the SADC region, within this SADC region, between 19 and 21 million people fall sick from malaria every year. 250 to 300,000 people, Honourable Deputy Speaker, are dying annually from this infectious disease, which is both preventable and curable. So that is why it is a concern for us to say SADC Malaria Day must be commemorated each year amongst all the SADC member states, and with the key objective of raising awareness of malaria amongst malaria-affected communities. We are also saying, Honourable Speaker, the northeastern parts of Vembe and the eastern low-feld parts of Mopani are our high-risk transmission area, while the southern parts of Sekhukhune and some parts of Waterberg, especially along the Lephalale River, are our low-risk transmission area. In this area, malaria transmission is seasonal, and with cases normally at higher levels during the summer rainy seasons. Limpopo, up to so far, Honourable Deputy Speaker, has done well in terms of fighting malaria. In the financial year 2017-2018, we recorded a total of 18,377 malaria cases, with unfortunately and regrettable 160 deaths. But the following financial year, which is 18-19, we only recorded 6,606 cases, which is more than 70% reduction, and also 48 deaths from the 160 deaths. It's also another huge reduction. We further on saw another reduction in the financial year 2019-2020 of more than 50%, where only 3,689 cases were. And unfortunately, while we've reduced the number of deaths by also more than 70% to only 19 deaths in this past financial year, it's still a concern for us. We are also saying, Honorable Deputy Speaker and the honorable members of the House, that up to date, since the beginning of the financial year, we have registered 2 deaths, and we would want to see these 2 deaths remaining at 2, because 1 death is too many, especially on a condition like malaria, which can be treated and prevented. We owe this progress as a province to our preventative strategy that we have adopted to curb the spread of malaria, and at the center of this strategy is our indoor residual spray. Not every mosquito is responsible for malaria transmission, but the Anopheles mosquito, and this I must indicate it's a female mosquito, which is responsible. That is why the solution is to kill that particular mosquito, which leads to successful eradication. Our 42 malaria teams have been strategically located throughout the province and have been hard at work towards elimination malaria. Some of the key areas include this indoor residual spraying, where in this activity it's aimed at spraying individual houses, and it's done annually, especially during the malaria season. We start around September up until March the following year. We are also indicating that the department spray teams were boosted by the 365 seasonal workers that joined the department this August to start with the full capacity of spraying in combating malaria. We are also saying early diagnosis and prompt treatment is critical to prevent malaria death. All health facilities in Limpopo do have malaria test and treatment. Although the malaria incidence has declined in our province, malaria transmission still persists in the malaria risk area. And the fact that in other countries within the SADC, they are still experiencing high malaria incidents. This tells us not to really relax, because malaria, as it's being transmitted by mosquito don't know the border gates, even if you can close them. During years favorable to malaria transmission, malaria can increase sharply, Deputy Speaker, as a result of external factors like your high temperature and rainfall. So outdoor activities at night and movement of people between malaria risk area in Limpopo and neighboring countries. Hence, it is important for us as a province to continue to partner with our neighboring province, Mpumalanga, to fight this malaria, and also to partner with our SADC countries like we have done, the Swaziland, Botswana, and also Mozambique, to collaborate in the campaign towards the eradication of malaria. Honorable Speaker, government has done a lot for us to assist us in fighting malaria. It is now amongst us as committee members. That's why we're calling upon committee members to continue to be vigilant, because the remaining few cases that we continue to see dying of malaria, it is a result of them probably not complying with some of these areas that we are going to be suggesting. We are therefore calling upon everyone to protect themselves by staying indoors between dusk and dawn, wearing long pants, socks, and shirts with long sleeves if you will be outside between the dusk and dawn. You must keep windows closed before it gets dark. You must use insecticide spray, then mosquito coils and mats. Use a ceiling fan or air conditioner. Use insecticide treated bed nest. And as we are approaching holiday season, Honorable Speaker, we know many of us would want to be visiting areas like Kruger National Park, and quite a number of those areas that I've already indicated are a malaria endemic. So we are then advising honorable members to say, make sure you take malaria prophylaxis before you visit any malaria endemic area. Visit your nearest a doctor who will be able to advise. Any public hospital will be able to advise and prescribe to you the malaria prophylaxis, and you must do that 14 days before you embark on a trip so that you can take malaria prophylaxis. And also, we are also advising that if indeed you experience one of the following, consult our nearest health facility. If you have fever, cold shivers or chiller, headache, body ache and pains, vomiting and sweating, if you observe any of those, visit any primary healthcare facility which is prepared to can deal with patients infected with malaria. We've got treatment in our clinics. It's just tablets unless malaria becomes complicated. All our patients with fever visiting our health facilities are now tested for malaria. Our community-based approach towards fighting COVID-19 surge includes the screening and testing for malaria. As you can notice that the symptoms for malaria and symptoms for COVID-19 are the same. And in conclusion, Honorable Speaker, Deputy Speaker, it should be noted that due to various factors, mostly associated with patients' delay in seeking health care early and other underlying medical conditions, around 1% of malaria cases ends up as fatalities, and we want to stop that. In order to reduce malaria fatalities, we should encourage health-seeking behavior to ensure that early diagnosis will prompt treatment as essential to cure. So a headache cannot be treated by Panado these days. When you have a headache, try to consult, because that headache might be malaria, which can lead into cerebral malaria, which can lead into death. After all, our health remains our responsibility. Let's remember to wear our mask, wash our hands with water and soap, or sanitize with 70% alcohol-based sanitizer, and also practice social distance. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Can I then allow political parties to comment, Honorable Smale?
Thank you, Honorable Deputy Speaker. For me, it's about making sure that there is a intergovernmental approach in dealing with malaria. Each of the departments has got to play a critical role in making sure that when we do get visitors into our area, that it's well communicated which areas are being affected, a proper communication channel between clinics and the private healthcare system. So when they do pick up any individuals that has picked up on malaria, that it's well communicated to the Department of Health, and that we have got a proactive approach when to the communities that lives in these hotspot areas by making sure that we've got proper drugs or proper laxers available to those people, and making sure that we do sprays well in advance to safeguard our communities against restricted, to restrict them to contaminate or get malaria. Last year, we saw some of the cases being picked up in the Tubatse area, which was outside of the red zone area. So, as the MEC rightfully said, there is no border gate for some of these mosquitoes, but we have got to be proactive and work together with the public sector to make sure that we can act and react speedily when it does arise. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Smale. Can I have the EFF?
Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Okay, Honorable Naga.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Honorable MEC, for what you have just mentioned, and also the lecture that you gave us this morning. Everyone in this, am I audible?
Yes, you are very much audible.
Okay, everyone in this sitting will agree with me that the best medicine in our communities is prevention. Previously, we used to see more people from malaria department, which is based in some of our hospitals, which would come to our houses, especially those who are staying in rural areas, spraying against the deadly mosquito that causes malaria. We used to see people, especially those who are coming from the poor families, getting the malarial preventative measures like mosquito coils. They used to get them from different clinics. But seemingly we having shortage of those things. For the sake of prevention, Honorable MEC, SEFF would like you to strengthen the issue of prevention. And the very same lecture or the very same education that you were giving to us, we would appreciate it if maybe the clinics which are at the primary healthcare levels, especially those which are in rural areas, to disseminate information to various people so that they should know what to do in order to prevent the mosquito that causes malaria. The other thing, those that will be visiting the malarial areas, they will have also to have knowledge of when to get the anti-malarial drugs before they visit those areas, because you will find that people are coming from the cities and coming down to the rural areas wherein we have those mosquitoes that the MEC has just mentioned that causes malaria, and they become also infected by those malaria. So let's strengthen the issue of health education, MEC. We will reduce the total number of people who are getting infected. I thank you.
ANC.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker, and thank you very much to members of the executive, the leader of the opposition. On behalf of the African National Congress, we are quite pleased that the Honorable MEC with the 42 malaria teams that have been deployed across the province were able to do the spraying starting from September, and we want to push that they continue doing their great work until the end of March. With the 365 seasonal workers that have been in addition to the 42 malaria teams that we have in the province, we believe and hopeful that they will be able to reduce the death rate from that that is too much, to make sure that we are at 0% in relation to that. And we continue to applaud the department in continuous partnership with both Botswana and Mozambique in relation to making sure that we are able to continue to control the malaria pandemic that is causing death in our areas. The indoor residual spraying that continues to be done in our different residential areas, particularly in Mupani, where I come from, where I've seen them doing that. We really applaud the department, and we believe that they will continue doing that particular great work. And moreover, we want to encourage the department that when our people will be visiting Kruger National Park, because it's part and parcel of our economic spin-offs as a province, the flyers that the department continues to produce and make sure that are given to our people, they continue to do that and make sure that our hospitals and clinics have got the preference which continue to make sure that it deals with the malaria epidemic that is within our province. We want to applaud the MEC for the good work, and let's continue celebrating the week, and let's continue to use the ambassador for Southern Africa, Mayvon Chakachak, in terms of making sure that we continue to speak the language of malaria within our province and the entire SADC countries. I thank you.
Thank you very much. We shall now go to the orders of the day. Assuming that there are no tabling of any reports, other reports and papers, we were not given any notice for that. Now we'll go to number 7, orders of the day. And 7.1, consideration and adoption of the 2018-2019 reports of the Portfolio Committee on Economic Development, Tourism, Environment and Tourism. Committee Chairperson.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. The Honorable Premier, the Speaker, members of the Executive Council, friends, countrymen, and fellow parliamentarians. I, Slelo Donald Slamlela, stand to present the second, third, fourth, and annual report for Limpopo Economic Development and Tourism for consideration and adoption by the August House, and I so move.
Any seconder?
Honorable Smaller, Chairperson.
Honorable Smaller.
I stand to second the report as read by the Chairperson of the Portfolio of Limpopo Economic Development and Tourism. Thank you.
Thank you. 7.1.1, 2018-2019 second quarter report, Department of Economic Development, Environment and Tourism. Chairperson.
Honorable Speaker, Aislelo Donald Slamlela, the Chairperson of the Portfolio Committee, stand to present the third quarter report for consideration and adoption by the August House. I so move.
Any seconder?
Simon Mate, second.
Simon Mate?
Second, the Chairperson.
All right, Honorable Mate, second. 2018-2019 third quarter report, Department of Economic Development, Environment and Tourism. Chairperson.
Honorable Deputy Speaker, Aislelo Donald Slamlela, the Chairperson of Portfolio Committee on Economic Development, Environment and Tourism, stand to present the fourth quarter report for the financial year 18-19 for consideration and adoption by the August House. I so move.
Any seconder? Honorable
Honorable Deputy Speaker.
Yes.
I, Sikutu Monica Muchade, rise to second the presentation of the report by the Chairperson of the Portfolio Committee, Honorable Slamlela. Thank you.
7.1.4, 2018-2019 annual report, Department of Economic Development, Environment and Tourism.
Honorable Deputy Speaker, Aislelo Donald Slamlela, the Chairperson of Portfolio Committee on Economic Development, Environment and Tourism, stand to present the annual report for Limpopo Economic Development, Environment and Tourism financial year 18-19 for consideration and adoption by the August House. I so move.
Any seconder? Who's seconding? Honorable Mnama.
Thanks, Honorable Speaker, Honorable Members. I, Kanyane Rogers Manama, I rise to second the Chairperson of the Portfolio Committee for the adoption and consideration of the report. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We shall now refer to the speakers list. And the first on the list, remember, speakers on this debate will have 3 minutes each. And the first speaker is Honorable Makoma Mokrupeja.
Honorable Speaker, Premier, MECs, Chief Whip, Leader of Opposition Party, Honorable Members of this legislature, good morning. Am I audible? Honorable Speaker.
Audible.
You are.
Honorable Speaker, I stand here today on behalf of the African National Congress to debate the 18-19 second quarter, third quarter, fourth quarter reports, as well as the annual report for the Department of Economic Development, Environment and Tourism. Honorable Speaker, this debate takes place after the President of South Africa, Honorable President Cyril Ramaphosa, on the 15th of October 2020, addressed the joint sitting of Parliament on South Africa's Economic Reconstruction and Recovery Plan. On the same vein, the Minister of Finance, Mr. Tito Mboweni, delivered the medium-term budget policy statement last week in Parliament. This, Honorable Speaker, happened because we might by now, all of us, aware that South Africa's economy is in a perilous state and is running out of time to get fixed. South Africa's public finance are in a serious state. There are 4 main reasons for this. 1, economic growth is low and non-existent. 2, tax revenue collection is repeatedly below forecast. 3, debt levels have risen rapidly and are now in the highest level in the post-apartheid era. 4, the economic performance of state-owned enterprises is necessitating large scale of government support. And one major risk factor in South Africa's economic context, as South Africa has one of the highest official unemployment rates in the world, with just over 26% of country's population are not employed. Therefore, Limpopo is not immune from the situation, Honorable Speaker. Having considered 2018-2019 second, third, fourth quarter and annual report for the department, the Portfolio Committee recommends the following. 1, that the department should find solution to the root cause of the underperformance of adjudication of disciplinary cases as it was reported throughout 18-19 financial year without progress. All critical vacant posts must be filled, including SMS level. The department must implement appropriate consequence management and corrective measures in order to improve all audit findings within the 18-19 financial year to date. The department must as well develop and implement a practical plan on the recruitment of the people living with disabilities. The department must ensure that all entities and subsidiaries should have valid boards in place while considering gender representation in all their appointments. Contractors must be properly assessed and regularly monitored in the implementation of the projects. All nature reserves infrastructure projects should be completed to enhance revenue generation by the department. The department must indicate the target-specific programs that were implemented and list of all municipalities that benefited in their LED capacity building interventions and indicate how they benefited, and also indicate the municipality that benefited from the LED capacity development initiatives. The department must closely monitor the implementation of various infrastructure projects in special economic zone and state-owned enterprises, revenue generation, attraction of investment, as well as the support to SMMEs and cooperatives will be critical in growing the economy. Also provide the report on the youth training which will help in ensuring there are young entrepreneurs and technical workforce ready for the report of training of youths who could play a role in the special economic zone. The department should provide a plan on how it utilizes a procurement in order to enable economic development in the Limpopo province, whereby 80% of the procurement in the province must be spent locally, must be spent through cooperatives, and to all the previously disadvantaged group must be given those opportunities. The Portfolio Committee will continuously monitor the department's implementation of the plan and its ability to spend the budget effectively. Honorable Speaker, we therefore support that these reports be adopted by the August House. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable. The next speaker is Honorable Sishoka. Honorable Sishoka. Is he no longer there?
Speaker. He's covered.
No, I'm the one that is sitting in this committee.
Yeah, but are you replacing Honorable Sishoka?
Yes.
Yeah, can you speak then?
Okay,
Yeah,
no, thanks. Thanks, Honorable Deputy Speaker. As participating in this program, the EFF is concerned that the cases in this department are not resolved within 90 days. 96% of cases were resolved outside 90 days, which has direct implication of the resources of the state. The laziness to work and resolve cases must be condemned. Is there something wrong, Deputy Speaker?
No, there's nothing wrong. I can continue.
Okay. The laziness to work and resolve cases must be condemned in the strongest possible terms, because it comes at the cost on the department of the state or taxpayers' money. Cases must not be dragged beyond 90 days because it simply implies that the state does not have capacity to do what it is supposed to do, and which is not the truth. It is for this reason that consultants are robbed in for simple tasks that could have been implemented by government ranking in millions of rands for nothing. The EFF government will give state capacity so that the government can be able to perform its own task and function and stop using consultants. We also know that the performance with regard to liquor application, which will encourage people to establish illegal business because the government is not coming on board to regulate and approve those that met the requirements. Citizens want legal approved things, but the government is encouraging them to break the law. People want to start small business and feed their families, but how long must they wait because the government does not take them serious? The EFF is also worried about environment compliance and enforcement, that it is not being done as expected, and people continue to violate environmental management legislation. This is not good for sustainable development because the future general will still need to use the same environment for survival. The department continues to fail to reach the target of 22% increase on the percentage of people with disability in this department. This is direct violation of laws and regulations, and a clear indication that the current administration does not care at all about persons with disability. Persons with disabilities are on their own. The government is not prepared at all to serve their interests, and that the status quo will remain until the EFF takes over government and prioritize the plight of our people. They have been sidelined because they have been sidelined, especially in the SMS positions, and all tricks are being done and excuses made by the current government not to appoint them from senior strategic positions in government. We are also concerned that there are no waste license application finalized or issued during the fourth quarter. This goes back to the point we made earlier on, that when government delays in finalizing license, they are encouraging people to do illegal things. We can now boldly proclaim that this government of anarchists would throw lawlessness and disorder in society. Can the department furnish us with the report of the 610 workers opportunity created, of who are the people employed and which criteria was used to employ them? How many youth were employed, women, people with... No, I'm just left with the last point. The EFF is aware of the...
Popular. Your time has expired. Can you have the next house, Honorable Smalley?
Thank you, Honorable Deputy Speaker. Libe has been marked with a record of poor management performances and a lack of capacity. With a budget of 1.59 billion rand at its disposal, LEADER should be able to fulfill its mandate to promote and carry out the economic development of Limpopo province in all spheres of activity. Instead, LEADER is failing in its efforts to accelerate industrialization by acquiring shopping malls and renovating industrial parks, as well as owning various properties, including residential houses, businesses, and residential sites in Limpopo, as well as in Northwest Province. During the second quarter, LEADER was only capable of reaching 37% of its set targets. The long delays of finalization of the agro-processing plants is hampering much-needed development and job creation in the sector. The Lebogomo abattoir has been standing empty, and a report on its feasibility of the project is long overdue. Clarity and detail needed over the Black Industrialist program and whether one or two programs were approved. Further, who these industrials are and what type of industries will be invested in. The expansion and the rollout of the CIPC self-service platform to remove barriers to entry into the business world and the enhanced opportunities for grassroots entrepreneurs still remains elusive, with the Polokwane offices still the only walk-in available to Limpopo entrepreneurs. The broadband network telecommunication infrastructures similarly are the proceedings at a snail's pace and would have been a godsend for many during the enforced COVID-19 lockdown. Honourable Speaker, the main challenges of LEADER's subsidiary Great North Transport are now becoming clearer. These challenges range from unnecessary contracts and litigations, and an aging fleet, high outsourced maintenance cost, and an in-house collusion. To address these challenges, all contracts must have been received and unnecessary contracts are being terminated. It is a positive step that the maintenance has been brought in-house with the necessary skills, and the entity is finalizing technology to eliminate collusion. The Auditor General noted with concern that both LEADER and GNT did not have CFOs for the period under review, as vacancies in key positions negatively impacted the financial management and audit outcomes. The purchase of the 100 Mercedes-Benz buses at an excessive price, overpaying each bus of around 500,000 rand, must be investigated, and those funds to be implicated should be found accountable. Honourable Speaker, it is strongly advised that LEADER outsource the development of the Sekhukhune Corporate Bank, as their track record is indicative of another failure or even worse, another bank heist. Honourable Speaker, 1,061 SMEs and 344 corporates incubated by LEADER and its Small Enterprise Development Agency. Thank you.
Time has expired. Thank you. Is Honourable Maris here? If Honourable Maris is not around, we'll go to Honourable Slamlela. 3 minutes.
Honorable Speaker and members of the August House, allow me to once again greet you and thank you very much for the opportunity to debate the Limpopo Economic Development, Environment and Tourism 2018-19 second, third, fourth and annual report. The Honorable Speaker, the committee recognized the effort of the department and its entities in upholding the required of government and achieving the desirable audit outcome in its portfolio. We have rigorously emphasized that appropriate consequence management and corrective action should be taken accordingly. Even the recommendation made in forensic report should be implemented. Honorable Speaker, we welcome the department initiatives that are already in place in order to develop the township economy and also ensuring compliance by business, including liquor businesses. However, it is concerning that in the township and rural areas, there are many businesses that are operating illegally, and also what is the trend where many small businesses, especially shops and spaza shops, are no longer run by locals who initiated them. In order to grow the economy, create jobs and reduce poverty, the government should find a way to ensure that local businesses are promoted and protected. The department and relevant stakeholders should intensify the effort to eradicate illegal activities in various sectors, including mining, biodiversity, and gambling. Honorable Speaker, tourism is one of the key sectors identified for the advancement of the economy in the province. And this sector, the department strives to ensure development, promotion, and regulation of tourism in the province. The department, through the tourism agency, continue to focus on the mandate of marketing the province as tourist destination. We continue to recommend that the government and relevant stakeholders should intensify their effort in ensuring tourism safety and pleasant experience through different tourism products and services. The promotion and capacity of local tourism business will continue to be prioritized. Honorable members, mining in Limpopo contributes immensely to the GDP of the province. However, the irony is that some of the mining communities are still very poor with little benefits from the mining activities in their areas. The department is urged to continue to work with the relevant stakeholders to ensure beneficiation, effective implementation of social labor plans, contribution to corporate social investment by mining. It has been noted that the department has already established a task comprised of various stakeholders as law enforcement to address the challenges of illegal mining in Sekhukhune region district. The committee also urges the department and relevant town planning stakeholders to look into the issues of sporadic and uncoordinated development and business buildings in the growth points towns across the province. Honorable Speaker, given the portfolio's understanding of the department's activities during the year under review, with the recommendation made, the committee, having considered and scrutinized the second, third, and fourth quarter reports and the annual report 2018-19, I move that the report be adopted as the report of this Honorable and August House, and I move accordingly, and I thank you.
Thank you very much for that debate. We shall now move to the consideration and adoption of reports of the Portfolio Committee on Economic Development, Environment and Tourism. Committee Chairperson.
Honorable Speaker, I, Slelo Donald Slamlela, stand to present the first quarterly report, Limpopo Gambling Board, Limpopo Tourism Agency and Economic Development Agency, 2019-2020. Is that the right report, Chair?
is the first quarter report of the Department of Economic Development, Environment and Tourism of 1920.
We've dealt with that, Chair. We are dealing with 7.2.1, the quarter and annual reports, Limpopo Gambling Board. That's what?
No, we're dealing with 1819, which were finished. Now we're entering 1920, which is the first quarter report, Department of Economic Development and Tourism, on this document that I have here. And then after that, we'll go to the Gambling Board, Tourism Agency, and leader.
The first quarter report, 1920?
Yes.
Honorable Speaker, I, Slelo Donald Slamlela, stand here to present the first quarter report for Limpopo Economic Development and Tourism for the financial year 1920, and I so move.
Any seconder? Honorable Khanyane.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. I, Honorable Nakedi Maria Khanyane, hereby second the move as presented by the chairperson. I thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you very much. 7.2, second quarter report, chairperson.
I, Slelo Donald Slamlela, the chairperson of Portfolio Committee on Economic Development, Environment and Tourism, stand here to present for consideration and adoption by the August House the second quarter report 1920 for consideration and adoption by the House. I so move.
Any seconder? Honorable Makurupeche.
I, Makoma Grace Makurupeche, stand to second the report as presented by the chairperson. Honorable Speaker. Thank you.
Honorable Chairperson.
Honorable Speaker, I, Slelo Donald Slamlela, stand to present the third quarter report, Limpopo Economic Development for financial year 1920 for consideration and adoption by the House.
Any seconder? Honorable Siona.
Thank you very much, Honorable Deputy Speaker. I, Mashili Rebecca Siona, raise my hand to second the motion as tabled by the report as tabled by the Honorable Chairperson. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We shall now refer to the speakers list. If let me check. We shall now refer to the speakers list.
Yes,
Or maybe we should proceed with the reports of the Gambling Board, and that if Chairperson can just continue the Gambling Board reports and tourism report.
Honorable Speaker, the 1891, sir, Honorable Speaker. Yeah.
There's confusion in this thing that I was given here.
Yeah, you went to, what we're dealing with now, you forced me to go to this 7.3.1. That's why there is confusion. But we still can proceed and go back to 7.2.1, which is 18, 19, second, third, fourth quarter for the entities.
Yeah, my apologies, man. The document I'm given is dear Macarian.
Yeah, I thought we're proceeding with the manner. I thought it was.
No. Honorable, can Honorable Rapila wait? Hold your horses. I want to correct so that we do it rightly. I think, yes, Honorable Slamela is right. We should go back to the annual reports of the agencies, Gambling Board, Tourism Agency, and Economic Development Agency. Can we do that, Honorable Chairperson?
On that note, Honorable Speaker, allow me to present for Slelo Donald Slamlela, allow me to present for consideration and adoption before this August House the 2018-19 second quarter report for Limpopo Gambling Board, Limpopo Tourism Agency, and Limpopo Economic Development Agency. I so move.
Thank you very much. Can you go to the 7.2? Call on any seconder. I'm sorry.
What's
Any
happening?
seconder?
Am I confusing you?
No. Any seconder? Honorable Smiley.
Thank you, Honorable Deputy Chairperson, Speaker. I will stand to second the motion as report as read by the Honorable Chairperson.
Thank you very much. 7.2.2.
Honorable Speaker, on that note, allow me to present before this August House for consideration and adoption as Lelo Donald Slamlela, Chairperson of Portfolio Committee on Economic Development, Environment and Tourism, the third quarter, Limpopo Gambling Board, Limpopo Tourism Agency, and Limpopo Economic Development Agency 1819 reports for consideration and adoption.
Okay, any seconder? Honorable Kekana.
Thanks, Deputy Speaker. I rise to second the report as presented by Honorable Slamlela. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson.
Honorable Deputy Speaker, I, Lelo Donald Slamlela, stand to present the fourth quarter 1819 for Gambling Board, for Limpopo Gambling Board, Limpopo Tourism Agency, Limpopo Economic Development Agency for consideration and adoption by the August House. I so move.
Any seconder? Honorable Munyamani.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I rise to second the move by the Chairperson, Honorable Slamlela. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think we shall now refer to the speakers list.
The annual report, sir. The annual report also.
Yes, you can move on.
Honorable Speaker, I, Lelo Donald Slamlela, once again, I stand before the August House to present for consideration and adoption the annual report for the entities Limpopo Gambling Board, Limpopo Tourism Agency, and Limpopo Economic Development Agency. I so move.
Thank you very much. Any seconder?
Yes.
Honorable Marcela.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. I, Matodi Caroline Mahasela, rise to second the report as presented by the Chairperson, Donald Slamlela.
Thank you very much. We shall now refer to the speakers list. Honorable Monica Muchadi. Your 3 minutes starts now.
Deputy Speaker, just on a point of order, please.
Yes.
Just want to make sure that we are now, if you are referring to the speakers list, I take it it's the latter report that will come first, which was just seconded now. And then we will go to the other items because we turned them around. It's just from a point of procedure. Thank you.
Yes, we're dealing with 2018, 2019. Second and fourth quarter report. Quarterly reports and annual reports of Limpopo Gambling Board, Limpopo Tourism Agency, and Limpopo Economic Development Agency. The ones that we have seconded earlier, we'll then debate them later.
Okay.
All right. Honorable Monica Muchadi.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker, Honorable Premier, honorable members of Executive present, Chief Whip of Majority Party, honorable members of the Provincial Legislature. I rise to debate the consideration and adoption of the report for the Department of Economic Development and Environment and Tourism. Honorable Deputy Speaker, Minister Tito Mboweni, in his medium-term budget policy statement, said the global economic impact on COVID-19 has been severe. In South Africa, real gross domestic product, which is GDP, is expected to contract by 7.8% this year. Let me steal the words of our first president, Utata Rolihlahla Nelson Mandela, at the opening of Indaba International Tourism Workshop in Durban, when he said, open quotes, "Never before has tourism offered us such possibilities. We believe that with international support, tourism can become one of the cornerstone in the generation of substantial economic growth, so critical to the building of our nation. The tourism products South Africa and the rest of the continent offer is recognized internationally as one of the great potential," close quotes. Millions of people have lost their jobs, many businesses have closed, and others are struggling. Tourism industry was not spared from this. In fact, tourism was the hardest hit as the lockdown has stopped the movement of people effectively coming to a hold, both local and global. Tourism sector alone lost tens of thousands of jobs during or as a direct result of the pandemic. Honorable Deputy Speaker, according to the survey conducted by the World Bank in tourism sector, they found that before COVID-19 in February 2020, the performance and optimism around the South African tourism economy was relatively positive. 40% of responding firms claimed they were growing, with a further 32% performing at a constant level. Most firms left either neutral or positive about the future of their business and tourism in South Africa. Honorable Deputy Speaker, after the first 6 weeks of feeling the impact of COVID-19, 99% of firms claim to be affected by the pandemic. Only 23% feel neutral or optimistic about the future. 83% of firms report revenues in March 2020 are down more than 50% compared to March 2019. And 34% of firms say revenues are 100% less, while 85% of the firms stated occupancy in March 2020 is down more than 50% compared to March 2019. And 47% say occupancies are 100% less. Honorable Deputy Speaker, Honorable Deputy Speaker, in closing, in conclusion, Honorable Deputy Speaker, we have seen a disturbing trend in our SOEs where there is little no evidence of consequence management for those who transgress the regulations. During 2019-2020, there should be appropriate corrective measures and consequence management measures so that the audit findings should not recur in the future and so that a clean audit can be realized. Honorable Deputy Speaker, thank you.
Thank you very much. Honorable Rapila.
Yeah, no, thanks, Honorable Deputy Speaker. We rise as the EFF to contribute in the debate on the Gambling Board, LTA, and leader. But before, let me convey my greetings as well to the leader of the opposition, Honorable Putani, and and the members of the Agas House. Honorable Speaker, Deputy Speaker, it should be known by this House that government entities in Limpopo are not able to generate their own revenue as expected and therefore not self-sustainable. Government entities should be run like business and generate revenue in order to create jobs and also provide services to the people and also serve its purpose of its existence and the reason why they were created. But that is not the case in Limpopo. Entities run their operation costs through government grants and bailouts. Limpopo provincial government does not have the slightest idea on how to resuscitate these entities which have already collapsed. Furthermore, over and above failing to generate its own revenue, the Gambling Board had an under expenditure of more than 5 million during the period under review. Under the expenditure implies that the people are enough with services. There is no service delivery backlog in Limpopo. That is what the provincial government is telling the citizens of Limpopo. The EFF is disturbed that the entity cannot cap illegal online gambling, which is on the rise in the province. People illegally gamble online, but the entity does not have a way of knowing and confirming that it is happening. relying on the word of mouth from people. Illegal mining, illegal online gambling will never be uprooted with this kind of approach and attitude from the government. There is currently a huge influx of Chinese illegal gambling machines, which are operating in spaza shops in our villages and townships around Limpopo. Government must stop the laziness and put systems in place to deal decisively with illegal online gambling. But we must indicate, Honorable Speaker, that of the entities in Limpopo, Gambling Board is the better compared to the rest. But there are clear signs that there is regression in terms of performance since the departure of Mr. Sorobi Maja. The Honorable Deputy Speaker, we applaud that the SCM and the LTA could not implement HR-based practice as an assessment project as planned simply because they did not have capacity. Sooner or later, a consultant will be hired or roped in to that which employees in the SCM unit should have done. What do we pay those officials for if they can't deliver on their contractual mandate and obligation? Is not a waste of taxpayers' money. But the challenge in the SCM unit of LTA are worsened by lack of appetite by government to fulfill vacant posts in the unit. The government is deliberately failing the entity residents that they know only the. It is highly, but can I also be given an opportunity to conclude? It is highly unacceptable that the LTA could not prevent an irregular expenditure. Can I finish as I go towards the conclusion, Chair? The Musina Special Economic Zone is stuck because of water and unfinished environment impact assessment. How is government going to successfully implement this economic zone when they are still struggling with a simple thing like without if they have the capacity to do so? I beg. Thanks, Speaker, for that opportunity to finish my.
It's out of order.
Thank you, Honorable Deputy Speaker. Tourism is seen as one of the biggest potential earners with almost limitless potential. The sector within the tourism that is receiving the most attention from authorities at the moment is our biodiversity, but there are equally unraveled opportunities and in adventure tourism, culture and heritage, birding, golf, and list goes on. Nearly 8 million international tourists have visited this province between 2014 to 2019. More than 27 million South Africans have visited some parts of Limpopo in the same period. The combined land area of Limpopo's national, provincial, and private game and nature reserves is 3.6 million hectares. According to the Premier's Office in 2019, the tourism sector employs about 22,400 people. In contrast to the Western Cape, the tourism sector supports more than 300,000 direct and indirect and induced jobs and contributed over 38 billion rand to the economy last year. Honourable Speaker, the lockdown brought about by COVID-19 brought the tourism sector to its knees, and it's time to bounce back. The 200 million spent in the revival of our provincial parks must start to bear fruit. A report detailing the upgrades, benefits to the park, and commercialized of 27 of our 55 provincial parks must be submitted to the Portfolio Committee. Honourable Speaker, with our peak season upon us, tourism safety is a concern with the increase of serious crime in the province. 180 tourism safety monitors needs to be increased to patrol tourist hotspots to prevent and curb crime against tourists. Speaker, constructively, many young people find their jobs in tourism and become active participants in the labour market. 7,874 youth supported through the Youth Entrepreneurs Development and Support Program. 1,220 youth benefited from tourism programs, 976 in the environmental programs, and 500 in ICT. A further 550 young people have been recruited and capacitated in the fast food learningship. These young people must be retained in the tourism sector too. Speaker, more than 50 million rand was allocated towards the marketing of tourism in the province with little detail and how it was utilized and what gains were achieved. The Limpopo Tourism Agency is a critical entity in terms of our contribution towards the economic development and job creation through tourism, improvement in the supply chain management, improved capacity in the ICT sub-program, together with the LTA and other key stakeholders, combined with the recommended initiatives, we will bounce back stronger and more sustainable than before. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Smiley. I take it that Honorable Maritz still is not here. Honorable Shamler.
Order on the phone, Chair.
No, it's the timer. I'm timing you. It's not the phone.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker and members of the August House. Once again, allow me to salute you and thank you for the opportunity to debate on the 2018-19 second, third, fourth quarter reports and the annual report for our three entities: the Gambling Board, the Tourism Agency, and the Economic Development Agency. Honorable Speaker, the mandate of economic development is also carried out through the state-owned entities, including Limpopo Gambling Board, Limpopo Tourism Agency, and Limpopo Economic Development Agency, together with its subsidiaries. However, as the committee, we remain concerned on the fact that most of these entities are still dependent on the government grant for their existence and operation. We are mindful of the developmental role that entities continue to play, and it is expected that those that are established to generate profit should start to be self-sustainable and profitable to ensure that they operate without the need for government grant. Honorable Speaker, the committee has equally observed with concern that LEADER has obtained to receive qualified audit opinion on the 2018-19 financial year, as it was the case in the previous 3 financial years. We call on the department and the entity to work around the clock in order to correct this undesirable trend and achieve an unqualified audit opinion going forward. The key areas of concern include material mismanagement of investment property, trade and other receivables, total current liabilities, total expenditure, irregular expenditure, and unaudited subsidiary, as well as compliance with international financial reporting standards. The committee has expressed equal concern that at the end of the 18-19, LEADER had a total vacancy of 159 out of 589 existing posts, implying a 27% vacancy rate. The vacancy in LEADER and its subsidiaries need to be filled in order to ensure service delivery and generation of profits. Of critical importance will be to ensure that there is more women representation, especially at senior management level. It was also recommended that those entities undergoing restructuring should complete the process to ensure that the staff is appropriately placed and trained. Honorable Speaker, Limpopo Gambling Board continues to carry its mandate of regulating the gambling industry in the province whilst generating revenue for the province. However, the scourge of illegal gambling remains a great concern as it disadvantages legal business, while it leads to a lot of loss of revenue, opportunity, and exploitation of vulnerable gamblers. Government should continue to partner with gambling establishments to promote reasonable gambling. The Limpopo Gambling Board regulates a sector that is growing at an exponential rate. Therefore, it is expected that the entity fill all the vacant posts in order to manage the increasing gambling facilities. The entity should ensure that in the following years, it obtains a clean audit, a territory that will not be new to this entity. Honorable members, the Limpopo Tourism Agency is tasked with one critical mandate of marketing the province as a tourism destination. As part of the Honorable Speaker, the committee having considered and scrutinized the second, third, fourth quarter reports and annual report for the 3 entities, herein recommend and move that the report be adopted as the report of the August and Honorable House, and I move accordingly as I thank you, Honorable Speaker, within my time frame. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Now, what we're going to do, we will allow the chairperson to go to the consideration and adoption of 2019-2020 report of the Portfolio Committee on Economic Development, Environment and Tourism. 1920 first, second, third, fourth quarterly reports of the Gambling Board, Tourism Agency and Development Agency. Can we do that?
Honorable Speaker, once again,
we haven't done it. We did the 18-19.
Honorable Rapela want to be the speaker, and I think he must win the elections first. No? Thank you very much.
You're out of order, Honorable man.
All right, Honorable Shoka, let's avoid
Can I be protected from the Honorable Shoka?
Proceed and stop commenting about other individuals. Comment on the report.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. I, Slelo Donald Slamlela, stand to present before the August House the first quarter 2019-20 financial year for Limpopo Economic Development, Environment and Tourism for consideration and adoption. I so move.
Any seconder?
Shoka, secondly.
Honorable Mnyaman.
I, Sarah Munyamani, stand to second the move by Honorable Selamulela, the chairperson of the committee.
7.4.1.
Honorable Speaker, I, Slelo Donald Slamlela, stand to present for consideration and adoption by the August House the second quarter financial year 1920 of Economic Development, Environment and Tourism. I so move.
No, yeah. We've adopted those already, if you remember. Honorable Slamlela, I was saying let's do the agencies.
The last ones.
Yeah,
that was my point exactly.
Remember when we adopted and we went back and did the other ones.
That was my point.
Yeah, now can we go to 7.4 and do 7.4.1?
Okay, so I must start from the beginning. You are really making this one of Rapela to be relevant today.
No, that's fine. Allow him to be relevant.
Rapela is so forever relevant.
7.4.
He'll enjoy some few minutes of fame today. Honorable Speaker, I, Slelo Donald Slamlela, Chairperson of Portfolio Committee on Economic Development, Environment and Tourism, stand to present the first quarter financial year 1920 of Limpopo Gambling Board, Limpopo Tourism Agency and Economic Development for consideration and adoption by the August House as the report of the House. I so move.
Any seconder? Honorable Smalley.
Thank you, Honorable Deputy Speaker. Jacques Malborado, why portfolio in Dico Imona, are your motion? No, Chairperson. Rolibu.
Thank you very much. And the committee chairperson.
Honorable Speaker, I, Slelo Donald Slamlela, the Chairperson of Portfolio Committee on Economic Development, Environment and Tourism, stand to present for consideration and adoption by the House as the report of the House the second quarter financial year 1920 for the three entities for consideration and adoption. I so move.
Any seconder? Honorable Shion.
Thank you very much, Honorable Deputy Speaker. I'm Maishibi Rebecca Sona. I rise to second the report as presented by the Honorable Chairperson. Thank you very much.
Committee Chairperson.
Honorable Speaker, I, Slelo Donald Slamlela, Chairperson Portfolio Committee on Economic Development, Environment and Tourism, stand to present before this August House for consideration and adoption as the report of the House the third quarter financial year 1920 of Limpopo Gambling Board, Limpopo Tourism Agency and Economic Development Agency. I so move.
Any seconder? Honorable Kanyan.
Thank you, Chairperson. I, Honorable Nakedi Maria Lekhanyane, hereby rise to second the move as presented by the Chairperson. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Committee Chairperson.
Honorable Speaker, thanks very much once again. I, Slelo Donald Slamlela, the Chairperson of Portfolio Committee on Economic Development, Environment and Tourism, present before the August House for consideration and adoption as the report of the House the fourth quarter financial year 1920 quarterly reports for Limpopo Gambling Board, Limpopo Tourism Agency and Economic Development Agency. I so move.
Any seconder? Honorable Makulpeche.
I, I, Makoma Grace Makurupechi, stand to second the report as presented by the Chairperson of the Portfolio Committee. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you, Honorable Grace Makurupechi. Can we go to the speakers list? And then we'll have Honorable Simon Mate.
Yeah, thank you very much.
10 minutes, Honorable Mate.
Thank you very much.
Deputy Speaker.
Who's Deputy speaking?
It's George. It's Rapila. So I wanted us to be clear on what are we debating now. I know that we have adopted all the reports, but are we doing LEADER 2019 or are we doing entities now?
That's a problem.
I think the speakers knows what they are debating between the two reports. Well, the reports that we have adopted, first, second quarter, and fourth quarter reports of the Department of the Economic Development, Environment and Tourism, which the speakers is debating.
This case is forever unclear, Honorable Speaker.
Huh?
No, I want to because of we.
I'm explaining, Honorable.
Okay.
I'm explaining. I'm saying the speakers list that I'm going to call now is debating the 2019-2020 first, second, third quarter, fourth quarter reports of the Department of Economic Development, Environment and Tourism.
Okay.
And there's a speakers list which is going to be debating the quarterly reports of the agencies. Is that clear?
Yes, no, more clear.
Honorable Mate.
Thank you very much, Deputy Speaker and members of the Executive Council, the Chief Whip of the Majority Party, and of course all members of this August House. Let me start by saying that economic development is one of the most important pillars that can be used to improve the socio-economic status of our people. However, such an economic development should be localized so that our ordinary people can be able to fully participate in the economic activities within their own territories. And of course, taking into consideration what the Minister of Finance, Minister Mboweni, said in his medium-term budget policy statement, he said that we will not let this crisis go to waste. So, Honorable Speaker, in dealing with the report with specific focus on economic development agencies, we believe that the agency has the capacity to improve on the achievement of the SAT targets. And in doing that, they will be ensuring that there is service delivery as planned. However, we need to engage in an analyzing process to establish as to why do we only have few targets that are achieved by this activity. We further believe that in ensuring that we have a smooth and a crisis-free economic development environment, we feel that we need to be favored with the progress report in relation to the legal dispute between the Sefateng Chrome mine and the corridor mining resources. Honorable Deputy Speaker and the Chair, we believe that leaders should also furnish us with a report on the colonial economy, because it has been our view that the economy that we've inherited still remains colonial, and at the very same time, there is nothing that we're doing to ensure that we move away from the colonial economy to a new democratic economy. And as such, we believe that leader has the capacity to ensure that we'd be able to gradually move towards what we call a democratized economic development. We acknowledge and concede in relation to the state of affairs pertaining to the financial collapse of the Great North Transport. But however, we want to acknowledge further the efforts taken by the department as led by the Honorable Andrew Thabo Mokoni in ensuring that resources are now made available to GNT so that it can now be able to move towards an independent, financially sustainable institution. Honorable Speaker, we will not take it lightly and simple when it comes to issues pertaining to gender equity and parity. We have noted with disappointment that in terms of the leadership within the department and its entities, the issue of gender parity still remains a critical challenge. We are therefore making a strong appeal that the issue of gender equity should be taken into consideration as a matter of agency. We want to be seen women given a space to demonstrate their capacities, not necessarily as on the basis that they are women, but we know that they are competent women. We can give an example with the recent appointment of the Auditor General of South Africa, who happens to be the first female to be appointed the Auditor General. And our belief is that she's not appointed on the basis that she's a woman, but she's appointed on the basis of her credentials and her capacities and professionalism. And therefore, that appointment should serve as an example to the department and its entities to say that women can no longer wait for their space to prove that when they are in leadership, clean audits would be a reality. Honorable Speaker, we have noted also that the issue relating to supply chain management should be strengthened so that any project that is there, we are able to complete it so that this bodes well for our service delivery programs. The lack of capacity in supply chain sections would derail the development which our people are waiting for, and they've been waiting for a very long time. Honorable Speaker, in the interest of time, I'm aware that even though I'm allocated 10 minutes, but I'm not obligated to speak for 10 minutes. I therefore thank you and move for the report. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Honorable Mate. Can we then move to, I suppose, it's still Honorable Rapila?
Yes, Honorable.
You have 7 minutes.
Oh, no, thanks, Honorable Deputy Speaker. As we are joining this debate of the performance of this department, they were making a point that the underfunding of infrastructure projects in this department means poor planning, which must be condemned in the strongest terms possible. The government is in the main known for poor planning more than delivery service to our people in most cases. We are led here by people who does not have interest, who can't plan properly because they do not know how to govern. There is a high demand for support service for SMEs, but the government only prioritizes few young people, women, and people with disability instead of providing more funds for a bigger intake. Government must take resources available to support more SMEs in order to avoid or prevent them from closing down. The support must be continuous until these small businesses are able to stand on their own, fully understand all the technicalities of the business. We want to bring the attention of the House that the department ultimately spend only 2% of its budget on Program 2, which is economic development. What this is very wrong. The government must admit that governance is not their plan. They are just playing around without doing something that they don't know. They are just like those false prophets who have mushroomed all over the country, robbing our people for their own hard-earned money. What the government is telling the citizen of Limpopo is that the economic development does not matter. It must not be prioritized and therefore must take the back seat while the economy is suffering. A layman on the street will tell you that we need to develop the economy in order to create jobs and eliminate poverty from among our people. It does not take an A-rated scholar or professor to understand this simple analogy. We think that the cadre development policy of the ruling party should be blamed for lack of understanding on basic and small things. If you deploy a comrade purely on political allegiance and not on merit and competent, that is what you get at the end. You will not think that such an important program must be sidelined and be deemed as less important compared to others that are equally important. 2% expenditure on the program too is scandalous and sensitive and criminal, and those who fail to spend money must be taken to the task. Honorable Speaker, the department must provide this House with a full report on how much it spent its budget on local business. It must be a detailed report indicating the beneficiaries and which communities they came from. Because we always speak, but we don't see this thing practical. The underachievement on consumer complaints is unacceptable because of it means most of the complaints launched within the department remains unresolved for a long time. Where must our people go when they have challenges or when they need assistance from government? Is this not their government? Are they not paying tax? Which government must assist them when they have challenges? The slogan of government of the people, by the people, for the people is just an empty slogan. In reality, this is not the government of the people. It is the government of looters who are hell-bent on collapsing the government and come with a theory and confirm the theory that the state is failing, but yet are the ones that are within the state and collapsing the state so that that notion get accepted, and they must be dealt with, and there must be consequence management in regard in relation to that process. Another name for this government is it is our turn to eat. One of your leaders have said it, that it is our turn to eat. We are not here for poverty. So that's why this corruption and this failing of the state in our province. The number of interns must be increased in order to create more opportunities for young people to gain practical experience in the workplace for the time being, as we're preparing them to be fully employed. And we should not use these interns as another way of cheap labor and exploiting our young people in the name of interns. So we hope that as much as we introduce them, we'll then take it further so that it's not the last long standing of being an intern while we've got a degree and a certain experiences. But we're not being able to be given an opportunity to be to implement what we have went to school to. This thing of paying them meager stipends must come to an end, and it is the worst form of exploitation. It is high time that, Honorable Speaker, you start to take our people serious. I thank you. No, I'm reserving these minutes for the next debate.
I just not prepared, man. You come here. Thank you very much for that. Can we?
No, I got failed. I've raised my points. I'm reserving these minutes for the next debate.
Not points. Order, please. Honorable Usmani.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. This department has the mandate to create a conducive environment to invest opportunities and job creation. During the second quarterly labor force surveys in 2020, our mining sector shared 24,000 jobs, manufacturing said 31,000 jobs, and trade sector lost 94,000 jobs. The enforced COVID-19 lockdown has throttled Limpopo's economy with our SMEs particularly hardest hit. 7% of South African SMEs are located in Limpopo. Most SMEs owners are between the ages of 31 to 40, 48% are male and 40% are female. Small businesses are considered to be job creators, and the majority of SMEs employ between 1 to 10 workers. The main challenges facing SMEs currently is cash flow, and mostly salary wages will be affected. A study conducted earlier this year indicated that 30% of the SMEs indicated that they will have to consider retrenchment. Honourable Speaker, the debt will have to increase financial and non-financial support to SMEs to kickstart the recovery process. The re-establishment of non-financial agencies must be prioritized to fast-track incubation, application for grant funding, and to provide aftercare services. Deputy Speaker, the debt assistance to cooperatives and stockpiles needs to increase to reach those people who are not in the mainstream of the economy. It is estimated that there are currently 820,000 stockpiles in the country, handling over 44 billion rand per annum. The debt needs to introduce awareness campaigns on how better to invest, and management could result in increased benefits for members. Our 147 mining projects shed 24,000 jobs during the last 2 quarters and have also been adversely affected by illegal mining, which is dangerous, harms the environment, and are catalysts for community unrest. Efforts to curb this actively must be increased. Speaker, our diverse natural environments is under threat from climate change, drought, industrialization, and poaching. Limpopo is dependent on a healthy environment, not only to sustain our tourism, but also our agriculture. Limpopo's rhino population remains under threat from poachers, and a radical new way of thinking is needed to preserve rhinos for future generations and access a new income stream. Once rhino sale is legal, poaching will decrease drastically. The debt can be instrumental in the bid to legalize the rhino horn trade, to advocate for sustainable sale of rhino horn through effective legislation, and in due pass a multidisciplinary regulatory framework to effect the legal sale of rhino horn in South Africa, inclusive and effective implementation of the legal sale of rhino horn, community empowerment, responsive security measurements, biological management, and the demand of management. Speaker, the debt can be instrumental in recovery post-COVID-19 by recognizing that the private sector, not the state, drives the economic growth and job creation, by the removal of red tape in their economic processes, and through making trade-offs, meaning that programs and projects that did not have the desired impact should not continue, and these funds can be redirected to more projects that have immediate grassroots impact. Honourable Speaker, the post-COVID-19 phase will be trying times for all of us. We need to be strong leadership and commitment, courage and buy-in of the people and our partners. I thank you.
Thank you very much. Honorable Slamlela, you're next.
Once again, Honorable Speaker, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker, and to fellow members of the House. I once again greet you and once again appreciate the opportunity to debate the Limpopo economic development and tourism report first, second, third, and fourth quarter for this portfolio after being consideration and after being briefed comprehensively by the department. Honorable Speaker, one of the key priorities of the sixth administration is to ensure South Africa is a capable, ethical, and developmental state. Accordingly, it is expected that LIDET demonstrate these traits in carrying out its function. Of importance is that during this, the filling of those positions that should be compliance with employment and equity legislation to ensure that there is fair representation of women, people with disability, and youth, especially in senior management positions. We urge the department and its agency to pay specific attention to filling posts in the supply chain and management position. Honorable Speaker, LIDET has a critical mandate of growing the economy of the province and also to create the much needed jobs for our people, particularly the women and the youth. Through its program, the department provide an enabling and regulatory environment for various businesses and cooperatives. In the past 2 years under review, the economic growth of the province has been hovering around 1% and below, which is less than the desirable growth rate as preempted in various expectations that we have set in our Limpopo development plan. The situation was made worse with the outbreak of COVID-19 during the last quarter of the financial year 1920. We hope that as through the fiscal intervention by the government, the economy will start to recover as the current year progresses. Honorable members, it's our position as the committee that since the dawn of democracy, the economy of the province is still dominated by an apartheid approach which focuses on more raw material than export, the transported to other provinces or countries for further processing. Subsequently, the manufactured or processed products being sold back to the communities in our province at expensive prices, and this does not help our economy. The committee has recommended that the prioritization of manufacturing within the province ensure local beneficiation while creating more jobs. The mega projects such as Mosina, Makado, and Duarte special economic zones should be applauded, and we have called on the department to expedite the process of ensuring that these mega projects start to yield the results for the benefit of our people. Honorable Speaker, the state procurement is a low-hanging fruit which could play a catalytic role in uplifting local businesses and ensure circulation of resources within the province, thereby growing the economy. The communities has also business, including those owned by blacks, women, military veterans, youth, and people with disability benefit from procurement allocation. It is also expected that the government continue to assist these businesses in ensuring their readiness for rising opportunities. Honorable members, after robust deliberation on the reports of the department during the financial year 1920, the following recommendations were made with the hope that the provincial economy growth will be enhanced. One, that the department should provide update on the COVID-19 impact as well as on the recovery plan, that vacant posts should be filled and representation by women, people living with disability should be ensured, that the department should provide the report on status of operation and infrastructure in all nature reserves and resorts. Department should support and partner with municipalities where the special economic zones are being implemented to ensure that they have necessary technical capacity and also provide the necessary amenities. Also to ensure that our people are at the center of beneficiating and benefiting from the processes of special economic zone. Implement measures that are aimed at promotion and protection of business owned by local, especially in the townships and rural areas, a work that the department is doing very, very well under Honorable Mukone in this regard. Department should speed up and complete nature reserves and resort infrastructure projects so that they can start generating revenue. Honorable Speaker, we are confident that with all the recommendations, working together, providing the necessary oversight and support to the department, much can be achieved, and indeed much will be achieved. We are mindful, Honorable Speaker, of those pessimists amongst us, those who call for the rain, yet when the rain comes, when the clouds come, they start to cry that the rain will damage their crops. These are the Thomases who never believe that this government can deliver to the benefit of our people. They will continue to shout from the comfort of their corners that our government is corrupt, but we believe that working together, side by side, implementing the recommendation we have raised, we could be able to achieve greater heights, and we should be able to bring a better life for all our people in the province and continue to contribute to the gross domestic product growth of our country and make a better life for all. With this, Honorable Speaker, I want to present and recommend that I move that this report be adopted as the report of the committee. I so move. Thank you very much. Honorable Speaker.
Thank you very much, Honorable Slamlela, for closing the debate. We will move to the next speakers list, which will be debating the agencies. And start with Honorable Masukwame.
Thank you, Honorable Deputy Speaker, and the member of the Executive Council, and the member of the Provincial Legislature, including the leader of the opposition and the chief whip of the majority party. Honorable Speaker, the debate on the Limpopo Gambling Board and the Tourism Authority for 2019-20 financial year, the Portfolio Committee on Economic Development, Environment and Tourism met virtually with the department and the Limpopo Gambling Department and Limpopo Gambling Board on 9 July 2020 for a briefing on the 2019-20 first quarter performance report. The board is mandated by the Department of Economic Development, Environment and Tourism, there to regulate and monitor gambling activities in the province, and in particular to ensure the eradication of unlawful gambling activities, promote responsible gambling, and to collect gambling revenue from gambling establishments. As the ANC, we commend the board for moving swiftly ahead to fill up the posts that were vacant in the organizational structure. This is critical for institution that is tasked with enforcing the law and eradicating the illegal gambling activities. We commend the board for increased number of gambling campaigns. The entity reported that the overachievement was due to more responsible gambling campaigns which were conducted following invitation received. The report further states that the revised APP include plan campaign. At the committee, we urge the Limpopo Gambling Board to provide the list of corporate social investment projects and follow up on their implementation to ensure impact. The board has conducted more than 100 investigations with no reported arrests or the progress on those investigations. Therefore, the LGP of this investigation and the LB should provide progress report on the formation of provincial task team to fight illegal gambling. We commend LGP for their well carried out crime awareness campaign. However, it is critical that the entity should ensure the crime awareness campaigns target our reach while covering different areas of the Limpopo province. We would like to impress on the entity to form partnership with the NP and the SAPs and ensure that the law is applied in a manner that will deter us. Furthermore, when necessary, amendments should be done to ensure harsh punishment. Honorable Speaker, the Limpopo Tourism Authority has an invaluable task of marketing the provincial tourism product to the country and the world at a time while global and local travel has been negatively affected by the corona outbreak. The committee therefore encouraged the entity to embark on innovative ways of marketing the province as a tourist destination to the country and the world. For the entity to give the provincial economy a fighting chance, in particular the tourism sector, it is critical that they fill the vacant post. Therefore, NTA should speed up the process of filling the vacant post, especially in the supply chain management if they are approved. In conclusion, Honorable Speaker, the tourism sector was not spared from the devastating disruption brought about the COVID-19 pandemic. This disruption resulted in countless casualties, which included jobs losses due to the closure of many businesses. However, government strategies such the COVID-19 tourism recovery plan published in August articulate bold plan to restore the sector to its former glory. As the ANC, we welcome the 10 million budget set aside for the recovery plans. I thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Honorable Masukameng.
How many registered to vote? What's the total people registered to vote in this ward?
Can I have Honorable Shoka, you are disrupting us.
Can someone mute Honorable Soga, please? Administrative business note of some counting some votes here.
No, thanks, Honorable Speaker. Sorry about that, but that's what we've been raising. Someone is raising a hand here. I'm not sure if I'm out of order.
You're on the floor.
On the floor, but I'm saying that's what Honorable Sishoka was raising, that the system, there's a problem. There's a hands raised here and we're speaking.
Honorable Rapila, can you proceed with debating? Your time, you are eating into your time.
Okay, but I've reserved my time from the previous.
No, let's do it that way.
Yeah, no, thanks. No, thanks, Honorable Speaker. As we participate in this debate on entities and 2019-2020 performance, we would like to know, first we're making a point that we would like to know and get answers why the department approved and signed MOU without having done EIA, which is unlikely that the department will ever get on Mosina Makhado SEZ. The AFF demands that should the department not receive a valid EIA approval on the Mosina Makhado SEZ by the end of this month, no further money must be spent on this project. This same will apply to all other projects. Honorable Speaker, we don't know what is happening between the department and the CEO there in SEZ. Maybe we'll get clarities why there's these challenges. How many atmospheric emissions licenses were issued during the year under review, and for which industries? Is there a solid intervention plan to resuscitate the tourism industry in Limpopo, noting the loss of jobs have already been lost? What is the vacancy rate at LTA and the demographics? What are the roles of local municipalities in areas where SEZ projects have been commissioned? Can the department clarify the status of the intervention in Mosina Makhado SEZ? Did the department do background checks on such investors, and can the department present a report and detail relating to such investors? Honorable Speaker, it will be interesting to the House to receive a report on key strategic pillars of leader. How many investors trips were undertaken, and what has been the value of money for such trips as per trade and investment agreement? How many industries have been opened to such to ensure that there is beneficiation and manufacturing of products which previously left this province raw? Raising this point, as much as there's been said, but are we doing this thing practical? What were the targets for job creation, and how many people were empowered per sector and region? For how long will they be engaged in such projects? We submit that LDA provides space in all districts for companies which are still trying to start business without off-take support. Allow them to utilize the space for at least 6 months sharing without pay. Why did leader agree to enter in relationship when there are no detailed designs and qualification for Mosina Makhado SEZ infrastructure development phase 1 as planned? Honorable Speaker, we will like to know if ever there was a meeting with the so-called investors, as previously it has been reported that leader is struggling to secure a mere meeting. Can the House be clarified about the Interpol stories and all issues regarding profiles of the targeted investor? Is there a forensic investigation on the collapse and financial situation at GNT, including on those who resigned, have links to the situation? Because we raised this point in one of our committee meetings to say that some of the people who are collapsing GNT, you'll at some point, or when you go forward, you'll find them being the ones that will be coming to say that we've got buses and who are now leasing one contract with government because of their collapsing this institution and go outside and start to do the very same business. We're asking those whether do they have links with the situation, and also we need a forensic investigation, and further agree with one of the speakers that spoke about consequence management, because these are the people that continue to give life to the agenda of the neoliberalists to say that let's weaken the state and empower the private sector who are corrupt and criminals. What is the status of Limpopo connection, and how many sites have been connected and are alive? Honorable Speaker, we seek a report which will detail the transaction that was given to the brother of the Premier, Stan Matavata. Why only 400,000 was invested instead of 7.9 million, and what is the status of investment negotiations which have been taken place? What is the status of BE transaction, and who are the identified beneficiaries? The department must provide a progress report on the legal case between Sefateng, Chrome Mine, and Corridor Mining Resources. What actions was taken by the tourism entity for failure to spend on training and development, professional fees, marketing campaigns, and promotion, research, and marketing advertisement budget? Honorable Speaker, the LGB must provide a report on consequence management considering the audit findings and material misstatements. The report is required on illegal gambling and indication of illegal operators who continue to ignore the law and regulation. All the questions that we've raised here must be adequately and properly answered in the interest of the people of Limpopo, Honorable Speaker. As I conclude and leave it here, hoping to get answers on all the questions that we've raised with you, comrades. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Smalley.
Thank you, Honorable Deputy Speaker. The Messina Mercado SEZ is gaining momentum. The environmental impact assessment for Site 2 recently closed for commentary. Site 2 involves a metallurgical and energy cluster and is located between Mercado and Bokmakiri, and has different affected parties with different effective interests, like sacred forests, burial sites, heritage, wildlife, and farming. The draft EIA complied by Delta Built environmental consultants confirmed that the project will have an extensive environmental footprint which will negatively impact water, wetlands, and air quality, heritage areas, farming, tourism, and food security in the area. The location is therefore unsuitable for a project of this immense scale because of benefits from the project may potentially promote justifiable economic and social development, but will negatively impact upon environment. The draft EIA recommends that this project may only continue under certain conditions and mainly if no alternative and more suitable sites are available for such a type of development, that sustainable and affordable water supply must be secured and guaranteed, that an alternative energy source other than a coal power plant must be investigated, and that it is in condition of an authorized that an approved biodiversity offset strategy and implementation will be implemented. The recommendations confirm that this project is nowhere near implementation stage and there is no legal way around compliance. We are concerned that the lack of efficient management of this project will ultimately lead to its demise, something Limpopo province can ill afford. The MMSEZ must be supported, provided that it stands the scrutiny of relevant legislation, is transparent, and recognizes the people of Limpopo as a considerable beneficiary. The development of the MMSEZ is much needed in the area to promote economic growth, domestic investment, and overall prosperity of the province. If the project is managed correctly, the MMSEZ can become Limpopo's economic hub and the gateway to Africa. Obtaining an environmental authorization to commence with the implementation of such a scope according to our laws is a legal requirement. It is an open secret that the leader, with the consent of the department, will proceed with the second phase at the Mercado Messina SEZ, despite the objections raised in the EIA. The lack of sustainable water source sustains this project at the MESEZ is still the greatest obstacle, and the plant obtained and harvest water to elaborate and in some instances just wishful thinking. It is then concern is that 304 million rand has been allocated to Fence Site 1 instead of using it towards securing water and basic services to the project of Phase 1. Honourable Deputy Speaker, the 4 clusters of the MMSEZ energy, the metallurgy, the agro-processing, the logistics, and the general manufacturing has the potential to unleash an area of prosperity on our province, provided that the beneficiation reaches grassroots levels. Time is running out for Limpopo. Increased long-term unemployment and dependency on social grants by the majority of the people in Limpopo, as well as a dwindling tax base, has reduced us to a welfare province. This project, if managed with fiscal prudency, transparency, and ethically, can save our economy. And the department must adopt an all-in attitude to get the MMSEZ operational. We can ill afford for this project to become another Medupi. I thank you, Honourable Deputy Speaker.
Thank you very much, Honourable Smalik. Honourable Slamlena.
Honourable Speaker, once again, thank you very much as we allow us to finally salute the members of the August House and to salute those who speak with honesty and debate with honesty. I salute, Honourable Speaker, those who know that the future indeed belongs to those who believe in the beauty of their dream, and not only believe in the beauty of their dream, but work towards the attainment of what they see in their dreams. Honourable Speaker, Limpopo Economic Development, Environment and Tourism and its entities are responsible for driving the economy of our province. The 3 entities have their own separate mandates, feeding into one mandate of ensuring that the economy of our province is the economy that delivers on the expectation of the masses of our people, specifically the previously marginalized, the downtrodden, the rural masses, the youth, the women, and the people who live on below the breadline. After engagement with the entities on their various reports, Honourable Speaker, we arrived at the various recommendations, and the following recommendations were made in as far as LEADER is concerned with relative to 2019-2020 financial year. Firstly, we recommended, Honourable Speaker, that quarterly reports be submitted in future should be accompanied by financial statements, so as to ensure that the finances spent on the work done by the department reflects what is being done in the report, so that we are able to measure the correlation between the expense and performance. Now, the entities should set realistic and achievable targets and ensure that they are achieved within the targeted times. The entity should develop and implement a strategy on the generation of revenue and improve profitability in order to ensure self-sustainability, and that there should be effort to ensure that the attraction of investments for advancement of the economy in the province. A thorough report should be provided on the status and operation of each subsidiary and company. Updates should be given on all LEADER catalytic projects that have been planned and implemented in the past 5 years. On Limpopo Gambling Board, Honourable Speaker, following the reports, we recommended that the entity should provide up-to-date COVID-19 recovery plan. The entity should investigate possibility of ensuring that the illegal gambling is completely eradicated. Progress will be provided on the socio-economic impact study being conducted by South African Responsible Gaming Foundation on the board. Honourable Speaker, so far as the LTA is concerned, we have, as alluded earlier on, agreed that the tourism remains a critical component if we are to turn the economy of the province around, that we must continue as a province to leverage
on various tourist destinations, and tourism agencies should play a very important and central role in driving the economy of the province side by side with other entities responsible for driving the economy of the province. And in this regard, Honorable Speaker, the following recommendations have been made: that the entity should embark on innovative ways of marketing the province as a tourist destination to the country and to the world. That tourism agencies should continue to speed up the process of filling the vacant posts, especially in the supply chain management unit, if they are approved. That we must develop and implement a risk mitigation plan that will ensure that the impact of this risk is minimal. That there should be clear strategy in the development of partnership to ensure that the process is not unnecessarily delayed. The entity should provide revised plans, budget, and targets for the financial year 2020 and 2021, and that LTA should report on the impact of COVID-19 relief funds progress, as well as the recovery plan for the tourism industry in the province. That the entity should continue to mitigate all the outstanding risks that may negatively affect the entity. Honorable Speaker, I want to agree with Honorable Smale that it is our conviction as a committee that Mosina Makhado Special Economic Zone has the potential to make the province the economic hub of the country, and that we must have all hands on board. We must call on the support of all and sundry to lend the little strength, the little hand they can, to ensure that we contribute extensively to ensuring that Mosina Makhado Special Economic Zone becomes a reality. It is not in the interest of our people, it is not in the interest of everyone to shout with borrowed confidence, to speak in untamed tongues about the possibility of the failure of Mosina Makhado Special Economic Zone, especially as others do rise and come here to speak and ask questions they could have asked in various committees, and ask them here when they should have asked them on the committee where we deal with this business. It is in the interest of our people that all and sundry have the hands on board to turn around the tide so far as the economy of the province is concerned. We implored on the department, and we continue to implore on the department, that the capacity of these three entities must be enhanced if we are to indeed deliver on a promised land that we have committed, that our forebearers have committed to our people, that one day, a better life will be delivered to the doorsteps of our people in Zingizinki, in Longotia, in Mahari, in El Dorado, in Lepalale, and everywhere else in the corners of this particular beautiful province. Honorable Speaker, the committee, having considered and scrutinized the 2019-2020 first, second, third, and fourth quarter reports of Limpopo Gambling Board, Limpopo Economic Tourism Agency, and Limpopo Economic Development Agency, I move that the reports be adopted as the report of this Honorable and August House, and I move accordingly, and want to thank you, Honorable Speaker. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Honorable Slamblela, the chairperson of the committee. Can I at this moment invite Honorable MEC for Economic Development, Environment and Tourism to respond. Honorable Makrupej, your hand is always up. Are you raising for the next meeting? Speak.
I'm sorry, Speaker.
Honorable Mkoni, MEC.
Deputy Speaker, Premier in absentia, honorable members of the Executive Council, the Chief Whip of the Majority Party, members of the legislature, ladies and gentlemen. Firstly, Chairperson, I want to take this opportunity to thank the Chairperson of the Portfolio Committee, Honorable Donald Slamblela, and the members of the Portfolio Committee for their guidance and counsel and oversight. We have gone through the report of 2018-2019 quarterly report and 2020 2020 annual report. It has been a remarkable experience for us as a department to engage with the community, to explain our plans, our challenges, and where we want to take the department. You will note, Honorable Deputy Speaker, that COVID-19 has exacerbated the problem that we already had in our economy. You will remember at a time when the president, in March, when the president declared the state of disaster, already we had a problem with our economy. We're at a technical recession. What COVID did was to wreak havoc into our economy. Most of the people have lost their jobs. A lot of people have died. A lot of businesses have closed. As we speak today, Limpopo, as a whole, we have lost almost 236,000 jobs. We have a very serious, challenging, and daunting task. As the Minister of Finance has actually indicated, that in 2019-2020, the economy contracted by almost 7.8%. And 2020-2021 situation, the situation doesn't look good. But as a province, and as in particular, as this department, we have been tasked to come up with a socio-economic recovery plan in line with what the national government has done. The president announced the recovery plan of the country. Even ourselves, we are going to present to cabinet, to EXCO, the socio-economic recovery plan. In the socio-economic recovery plan, we are looking at issues in a short term between now and the next financial year. We have set aside money. The province has put aside 3.5 billion to deal with this. 400 million has been put aside for the roads, and 42 million has been given to the department to deal with the issue of a socio-economic recovery plan on a short-term notice. One of the things is to deal with the issue of tourism, which members have eloquently indicated that it's one of the apex projects which create jobs. It has been hard hit by this pandemic. So we are now in that phase where we are dealing with that. Secondly, we would also have the long-term project, which would, in the long run, make sure that all the plans that we had and the new plans that we have should be able to deal with what COVID has actually done. And Honorable Chair, what I want to say is that I've actually noted the remarks by honorable members for those financial years. The main issues that they spoke about was appointment of staff, audit matters raised by the Auditor General, consequence management, SOE capabilities, high level of intervention by the SOEs, state-owned enterprise, revenue generation, the issues of GNT, where the bus company is not performing to its expectation. They've also raised the issue of the illegal gambling, and also the issue of marketing the province. So we are saying that most of those issues, which we will not be able to answer today, will then be able to send in a written report. As we conclude, I want to conclude by saying, George Washington Carver implored us to say that in life, we must do common things in an uncommon way that will make us to be recognized by the world. And that's what we are going to exactly do. This situation in which we have to do things in an uncommon way. Make sure that we work speedily. Make sure that those SOEs are able to deal with the issues that have been raised. And Honorable Chair, Deputy Speaker, I want to thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable MEC, for that response. We shall now move to 7.5, which is consideration and adoption of the 2019-2020 report of the Standing Committee on Public Participation and Petition Committee. Committee Chairperson.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Greetings to you and all honorable members present this afternoon, and thanks for the opportunity. I am Dr. Falaza Philemon, rise to present the annual report of the Standing Committee on Public Participation and Petitions for consideration and adoption by this Honorable House. I so move, Honorable Deputy Speaker.
Any seconder? Honorable Matlo.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. I, Joshua Safumato, hereby second the move as presented by the Honorable Chairperson, Honorable Mudaka. Thank you.
7.5.1, Committee Chairperson.
Honorable, because I don't have, I only know that I'm actually submitting that for adoption, and therefore we should then move to the debate.
2019-2020 annual report, public participation and petition.
Yes, that's the one that I've actually presented.
Can you present it, Honorable Mudaka?
I am Daga Falaza Philemon, rise to present the 2019-2020 annual report of the Standing Committee on Public Participation and Petitions for consideration and adoption by this Honorable House. I so move, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you very much. Any seconder? Honorable Khanyane.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I, Honorable Nakedi Marial Khanyane, hereby second the move as presented by the Chairperson of the committee. Thank you, Chairperson.
We shall now refer to the speakers list and ask Honorable Nakedi Swanakikana to start.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. I, Nakedi Kekana, rise to debate on the 2019-20 annual report of the Standing Committee on Public Participation and Petitions for consideration and adoption. Honorable Speaker, the Honorable Premier Stanley Chupuma Tabata, Honorable Deputy Speaker Jerin Doe, Honorable members of the Executive Council, Chief Whip of the Majority Party, Honorable members of the Provincial Legislature, members of our Chapter 9 and 10 institutions, greetings to all. Honorable Speaker, the Limpopo Legislature, in terms of Section 118, subsection 1, paragraph A of the Constitution of the Republic of South Africa, is vested with the responsibility to facilitate public involvement in the legislative and other processes of the legislature and its committees. The legislature is further empowered to receive and consider petitions from interested parties and members of the public in terms of Section 115, paragraph D of the Constitution of the Republic of South Africa. As part of the public involvement mechanism, the Limpopo Legislature passed the Limpopo Petitions Act 4 of 2003, which vests the Standing Committee on Public Participation and Petitions with the responsibility to consider petitions that have been referred to the legislature by the petitioners. Honorable Speaker, as per the mandate of the committee in facilitating public involvement and provide mechanism to ensure transparency of service delivery in government departments, municipalities by adequately and timely processing petitions from the public. The committee continues to play a vital role as it deals with sensitive and fundamental issues that directly affect the communities in our province. Outbreaks of violence in some community protests reflect frustrations not only over the pace of service delivery, but also concerns that communities are not being listened to sincerely. Honorable Speaker, the committee received 54 new petitions in the year under review from all districts, and most of them were service delivery related matters. However, as a result of the 2019 national elections and the establishment of the new committee, there was not enough time for the committee to adjudicate on both new and old petitions. Consequently, Honorable Speaker, the committee only managed to conclude and close 6 petitions received during the 2019-20 financial year. Notwithstanding the fact that the legislature started operating during the second quarter of 2019 and 20 financial year, the committee managed to effectively make inroads in dealing with outstanding petitions from the previous financial years. 3 taxi associations petitions of the Department of Transport and Roads were resolved and will be closed upon receipt of the progress report from Department of Roads and Transport. Honorable Speaker, educational workshops were conducted in different districts, which birthed robust debates amongst members of the public and various stakeholders, which in a way increased awareness on issues directly affecting communities such as gender-based violence, xenophobia, and discipline and management challenges in schools. The debates depend the reflection of the RDP Plan 1994 when it says, I quote, "No political democracy can survive and flourish if the mass of our people remain in poverty, without land, without tangible prospects for a better life. Attacking poverty and deprivation must therefore be the first priority of a democratic government," I close. As part of outreach campaigns, the committee ensured that the public was educated on matters pertaining to the petition processes and the role of the legislature. The committee had created a good working with constituency administrators to assist with mobilization and receiving petitions from the communities. Unfortunately, the committee couldn't proceed with taking legislature to the people due to the lockdown as a result of a COVID-19 pandemic. The committee is continuously making efforts in ensuring transparency of service delivery by government departments and municipalities, adequately and timely handling petitions from the public. However, the committee often encounters various challenges that hinder its mandates. Honorable Speaker, the non-implementation of committee resolutions by the departments and municipalities causes delays in resolving and closing petitions and insufficient cooperation by the departments and municipalities in terms of attending committee meetings, which results in cancellation and postponement of the meetings. The committee is satisfied by the progress made so far. More efforts will be put in dealing with all petitions effectively and timeously. As I conclude, Honorable Speaker, the President of the country once said, I quote, "Where public participation is limited, you are bound to have poor accountability from leaders, and that the oversight work of Parliament and legislatures cannot be efficient or effective outside of the involvement of the public society." I close. Honorable Speaker, as the NC-led government, we are hard at work to pedal down communication more honestly and show a greater degree of humility as we move towards nation building and social cohesion. I so move, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you very much, Honorable Sibanda Kita. Can I have Honorable Lillian Managa?
Thank you, Honorable Deputy Speaker, and greetings to all members present, the leader of official opposition, Honorable Josie Butane, greetings to you also. Honorable Deputy Speaker, the EFF submits that all outstanding petitions must be resolved within this month of November 2020. We further submit that virtual engagements can be initiated with petitioners where there are telecommunication challenges. The nearest government offices must assist. Government departments and municipality do not implement resolutions of the committee like what the former speaker has said, and petitioners have to suffer once more because of frustration and lack of implementation. They only agree to comply in the committee meetings, and that will be the only time they agree. Implementation is never done. Petitioners now have to run around and also going back to the committee, reporting that a municipality, department, or government institution is not implementing as agreed in the committee meeting. It is high time that such dishonorable public institutions who enjoy watching our people suffer be held accountable. This serious contempt of the committee is highly unacceptable and must come to an end. Any official who does not implement the resolution of the committee in resolving challenges faced by our people must be brought to book. The committee must encourage more people to submit petitions because the fact of the matter is that our people are confronted with many challenges out there. We know for a fact that the majority of our people are confronted by a number of challenges such as injustices in the workplace, labor matters, conflicts in public institutions like schools, hospitals, and many more. Honorable Speaker, we are getting an impression that the whole process of coordinating public participation and petitions is flawed and will not translate in resolving the many challenges that continue to afflict our people. The executive continue to act in the manner that suggests that they have arrived, while the majority of the people continue to suffer. Nobody holds them accountable because they are bigger than all of us, including the people who voted them into power. Campaigns and outreach programs must be held across in the province, indicating the importance of such submissions and the rights which the petitioners enjoy in the Constitution of the Republic of South Africa. Honorable Deputy Speaker, we need a report on the progress and outcomes of the petition meetings which took place. How many petitions were resolved from the over 60 that was received, especially since level 1 lockdown? As far as we know, there were few committee meetings which were held to resolve on the issues in this regard. Where must be our people go when they are confronted with challenges and injustices because government is not prepared to listen to them? Where will their salvation come from? Honorable Deputy Speaker, a detailed report on the oversight visits which were undertaken by members of this committee is necessary. The EFF demands that a non-implementation of committee resolutions report by the department and municipality be compiled and made public by end of November 2020. All 2020 petitions should have been resolved by now, but unfortunately the government allowed laziness and procrastination to creep in. What are the actions which were taken to remedy non-compliance with the 4-week period on referred petitions in terms of the Limpopo Petitions Act, which hindered the effectiveness, efficiency, and timeline processing of petitions? All these questions must be resolved to ensure that justice prevails. I so move, Honorable Deputy Speaker. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Manag. Honorable Maharaj.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, the Standing Committee on Public Participation and Petitions plays a crucial role in ensuring public involvement and is a mechanism to ensure transparency of service delivery in government departments and municipalities throughout processing petitions. With this in mind, it is underwhelming that in the year under review, only 9 public hearings were held for the purpose of the adjudication of petitions. The committee received 61 petitions during the 2019-2020 financial year from all districts in the province, but the committee only managed to conclude and close 6 petitions in the 2019-2020 financial year. It is important to note that the 2019 national elections had a role to play in this low number of concluded petitions. Speaker, in the period under review, the Standing Committee on Public Participation in Petitions also carried out oversight visits to Deputy Primary School and Kongonamani Agricultural Cooperative. But this is not enough. These oversight visits are key in ensuring our people in this province get quality service delivery and ensuring the continued participation of the public. More oversight visits need to be carried by this committee moving forward in order to establish an accurate picture of the situation and hardships our citizens are exposed to on a daily basis. On a positive note, the committee managed to conduct 8 educational workshops and exhibitions in different districts and brought about awareness on issues directly affecting our communities in this province, such as gender-based violence, xenophobia, discipline and management challenges in schools. The organizing of the 2019 Taking Legislature to the People was also a very positive initiative, but it was unfortunate that due to COVID-19 pandemic, this was eventually cancelled. Honorable Speaker, this committee has the potential to drastically improve the lives of people in the province. However, for this to happen, some obstacles have to be addressed. The committee recommended that the committee, through the Speaker of the Legislature, engages the leader of government business in rectifying the challenge of non-attendance of committee meetings and non-adherence to due dates of submission of reports by the departments and municipalities. The lack of cooperation by these departments and municipalities affects the performance of the committee and its ability to conclude petitions. The other important recommendation was consideration of the introduction of e-petitions. COVID-19 has made this step even more important in order to continue allowing members of the public to submit petitions electronically. These interventions will strengthen the committee in fulfilling its mandate to the people of Limpopo. I thank you.
Honorable Mdaka.
Yeah, thank you very much, Honorable Deputy Speaker. It looks like my network is a little bit weak, but I'll try to forge ahead. Greetings once more. I know that I've got only 3 minutes, and let me say all protocol observed.
You've got 10 minutes.
10 minutes. Thank you very much. I was not aware of that because I heard it is 3 minutes all along. Okay, thank you very much. Unfortunately, I planned for 3 minutes, but I'll then find a way of continuing saying what I'm supposed to say.
We don't have to speak for 10 minutes.
No. Thank you very much. I'll start by greeting you, Honorable Deputy Speaker. Greetings to our Honorable Premier in absentia, Honorable MECs, Honorable Chief Whip, and all honorable members, including the leaders of opposition. Good afternoon. Honorable Deputy Speaker, public participation remains the cornerstone of our democracy. The African National Congress, the governing party, is very committed to the issue of involvement of our citizens in decision-making about issues that affect their lives. It is a principle and a system that has been institutionalized at local government level. At the provincial level, amongst other legislation, is governed by the Limpopo Legislation Petitions Act number 4 of 2003. Honorable Deputy Speaker, as part of our mandate conferred to it by this act, the Standing Committee facilitated public involvement and provided mechanisms to ensure transparency of service delivery in government departments and municipalities. At times, as already alluded by other committee members, it deals with very sensitive matters, including the allocation of RDP houses to our people, who which are allocated to wrongful owners, issues of pensions, where old people who have worked for the government for a very, very long time only managed to go home with less than 250,000 rand. People who have been in government or working as teachers before some of us could actually go beyond primary education. It is very much disturbing at some point when you facilitate such hearings, which are very, very much sensitive. And at the end of the day, there is no solution. So these are some of the questions that we come across, which we need assistance from the line departments and state agencies to make sure that they respond quicker. As already, other members have already indicated that sometimes the 4 weeks, I'm not sure if I'm still audible because I can hear some discussion in the background, Honorable Deputy Speaker.
I'll continue.
Thank you very much. Well, anyways, part of technology, others have not muted, and then they are actually disturbing us. So anyway, let me continue where I stopped. What I was saying is that it's very disturbing to find a situation where some of the petitions cannot be resolved, including in areas where municipalities were supposed to come and they're not coming and they took a long time to come. They don't respond. If they come, they don't have a solution. So these are some of the challenges that we have. If I can take one case in point, it's a petition that has been in our role for a very, very long time. In actual fact, it started in around 2009, when there was still the other administrations, not the current administration that we have. And even today, it is not yet resolved. Where it involves 163 houses that were allocated wrongful owners. And then instead of responding to the issue, you find that we move the goalpost, and then it is not clear as to indeed at this point who are the rightful owners. Of course, we met recently with the MEC for local government to try and resolve the matter. We are still to follow up that issue. We were supposed to be going back recently. Unfortunately, because of the instruction that was given to all of us who were in a workshop, we have to postpone that appointment with the department and the petitions again to follow up in terms of how far are these issues being resolved. There are instances where RDP houses were built and then the houses actually are no more to be found. We found out the house has collapsed, and now the poor, people who are sitting in that house, some of them are very poor. No one is working in the house and so on, and some of them are orphans. And in order to find that there is no any other solution, so there's a need, Honorable Deputy Speaker, to make sure that those that are building our houses, we must find a way of retaining money, or what is called retention, to make sure that if some of their houses were not of that quality, or if any of the houses fall apart, we must then be able to use the very same money and rebuild another house, and not to have somebody that has actually is said to have benefited from the housing, delivery, only to find that that person or that individual is not having any house at their place. So it is very important for us to have a solution in terms of this one, because there are several cases that we're receiving where houses have actually fallen apart, including the recent ones that were actually aired on or some investigative teams by the media, where foundations, you found that there was a house here, but there is no more house there tomorrow morning. So these are some of the issues that we're dealing with. Of course, we have the Department of Health as one of our major clients. We are happy to announce that at least they are not delegating when they come, when there are hearings. The head of departments actually come in person to make sure that we resolve the issues together. Some of the issues that are raised within this department are issues of salary payments and so on and whatever, and promotional issues and so on. And they are sometimes very difficult also to deal with, because we have to make sure that whatever we do, it is within the policy parameters. But of course, with the cooperation of the Department of Health, we're able to resolve some of the issues, including in areas where they appointed NGOs to then do to actually represent them in terms of interacting with our communities, including employing people for a part-time basis to work in certain areas, in clinics and so on, for a particular period of time, only to find that there are other challenges in that regard. Some people were then appointed permanently and others were not appointed permanently, and that then divides our people. These are some of the issues that we're dealing with, and we're able to announce that at least in this area, we're able to resolve them together with the Department of Health. Of course, roads and transport, as alluded to by my previous speakers, honorable members that have actually spoken on the matter, where we're actually interacting with issues of, taxi associations. They're very sensitive, very emotional, and very sometimes dangerous to deal with. And you have to find a way of, at the same time, mediating instead of just resolving them, to make sure that we mediate between the community, the parties that are involved. Sometimes some of them take each other to court, and immediately such happens, then we are no more able to deal with the issue because it's in court in terms of a petition act. We are not supposed to deal with issues that are in front of court or which are in front of the public protector. So these are things that we actually deal with on a day-to-day basis. And again, we're happy that at least the Department of Roads and Transport, they are actually as well following up on these very sensitive matters. They are still outstanding, some of them, and we need to make sure that we close those ones on. The Department of Education, how the issues of building of schools and so on, and infrastructure and whatever. There are areas where also it involved even the former, administration, where it is very also difficult to go back to the very same communities and say you are actually bringing a solution, you are trying to resolve their petition, only to find that nothing has been happening for a very, very long time. A case in point is Kediketse Primary School in Mukhaladi village area, where the whole government, or the whole government actually went there in 2013, led by the former Premier Kasel Matale, where they actually made certain issues in terms of how soon they're going to build the school, because the school is dilapidated. We went inside the classrooms. There are cracks everywhere. It can fall anytime, and there are little ones actually attending school in those old structures, which some of them were built before others of us inside this house were not yet born. There's a building that we saw. We're told even the old man that was presenting, who is now an SGB member, was actually attended in the school before 1967, if not in 1967, and that is when one of the blocks were built. They are still standing, but very, very dilapidated. And we have been promising as government to say the MECs were promising, the premiers were promising to say they are going to deal with the issue. To this day, we went back recently, nothing has been done. Nothing has been done. So these are very serious issues. Hwadi Primary School in Mulemule municipality, when they actually talked to us since 2006 that they've been waiting for additional classrooms to be built, they were promised, nothing has happened to this date. And of course, we engaged the department and we went down there with a very junior official, of course, and sometimes they became emotional and very, very difficult to deal with the issue in the meeting. But we managed to then make sure that at least there must be something that must be done. I just hope that whatever we agreed in that meeting will happen. But of course, we're still talking about what we call, portable classrooms, or making sure that there are aircons in the portable classrooms. In terms of them seeing a delivery of a project, they are told that it will then happen in 2023, 2024. Not even 2022. So these are the issues that we're dealing with on a daily basis. So Honorable Deputy Speaker, the previous speaker indicated that there's a need for us to make sure that we find a way of dealing with the issues. You know very well that through your office, we managed to have a meeting with the Democracy Works Foundation, a civil society participation, program for legislatures that they've actually initiated with the support of the Westminster Foundation for Democracy and EU, where they actually promised us that
they will actually be able to assist us even during this time of lockdown, that we are still able to interact with our communities. If you may remember very well, we started this interaction with them on the 22nd of November 2019. We are now in November again, and then nothing has happened. And what we are told, and I believe it is now in your office, and as you know, we're working through you, and we have not yet been briefed in terms of how far this issue is concerned. What we know is that the memorandum of understanding should have been signed around July, but it has not yet been signed because your office has actually referred this matter to the legal department, where I'm told that the 4 issues that they raised about the Democracy Foundation in terms of whether they are legally their legal status, and then whether we're also going to have any involvement in terms of funding their program and so on. They responded, Honorable Speaker. So we want to know how far is that matter so that it can help us during this lockdown, so that we're able to then deal with that matter. And I believe that that will be done in writing, because all the 4 issues that were raised by the Democracy Works Foundation were actually dealt with. As I conclude, because I can see that... Pardon? Oh, well, Carl. Morning move, meet Honorable Speaker. Ni move standing committee of public participation and petitions. Move report lewani adoptiwa yinlo na some Honorable Deputy Speaker.
Thank you very much.
Then you can know that I can speak for 20 or 30 minutes.
The leader of government business is in.
My Honorable Deputy Speaker.
The leader of government. Honorable Squad is in the house. Is there any member of the executive who wants to just respond on behalf of the executive? Honorable Masemola.
Well, thank you very much, Honorable Deputy Speaker, and a very good afternoon to all honorable members present in this meeting. On behalf of the Premier and my colleagues in the Executive Council, I would like to take this opportunity to appreciate and accept the report as presented by Honorable Mdaka of the committee that has had an opportunity to interact with various departments on matters of concerns and need for follow-ups raised by various communities in the province. And those matters remain very important and very key, and most importantly, we would have to work very hard for them not to escape the radar of the Provincial Executive Council. And therefore, I would, on behalf of my colleagues in the Executive Council, accept the report and make an undertaking that those matters, as the report will be referred to various departments for follow-up, I will as well, in the next engagement with my colleagues, they do raise this matter that they need to be followed up very closely. And with that note, Honorable Deputy Speaker, I want to thank you and also thank Honorable Mdaka together with his team for having done such a sterling work. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Honorable Masemola, for that intervention. Honorable members, we have come to the end of the business of the House. If there aren't any announcements, we will adjourn the House until Thursday in the same venue. Thank you very much for all who has attended, and hope that we'll continue taking precautions and following the protocols that have been put around the issue of COVID, so that we safeguard our health. And always remember that the primary responsibility for our health is ourselves as individuals. Thank you very much. The House is adjourned.
Honorable Speaker.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Morini.
Yes.
Yes, I.